$197 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important. So is your budget.
Wentz keeps it, looking, firing, end zone. He's got a touchdown. That time it's the other tight end, Zach Ertz.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
And on second down, it's Williams up the middle. Short of the first, the ball is out. It's scooped up by the Cowboys. On the run up the field, Aldon Smith motoring to the other end, and Aldon Smith will take it in for a Dallas touchdown.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
Oh, here we go. Here we go again. Yet again from our residences, Armstrong and somewhere underneath the Brazos River in a bunker. Paul Catalina at home, David Smoak at the condo, and we bring you the next 3 hours. I just got off the phone, recorded an interview with Kramer Robertson. He's on his way down to Florida, had to wait a couple of days because of the weather to head to the Cardinals at training camp in Jupiter, Florida. We'll have that for you today at 5:30. A quick note about tomorrow, and then we get into today. Both Dejanay Carrington and Brady Heslip, former Baylor guard, will be a part of our show. Mack Rhoades today at 4:20. Paul Catalina, the NFL set the salary cap, but that was not the biggest story today. And it's not a local story, but it does in a way because the NFC East were the Eagles. Carson Wentz, talk about a crazy statistic about quarterbacks who've been drafted over the last, not 10 years, but over a 10-year period of time until the last 2 or 3 years. And I'll have that for you. But Carson Wentz no longer in Philadelphia.
No, he's not. And I've got a crazy stat. RJ Ochoa, our guest yesterday, put a crazy one up as well that I wanted to share with you. But yeah, it's strange what's going on with the quarterback and in the position in the NFL. It doesn't have, I mean, there's always in flux, Smokey, right? The quarterback position is always going to be in flux because there's only so many good quarterbacks and there's only a couple of great ones in each crop, for the quarterbacks we have going right now. Mahomes is great. Brady is great. Rodgers is great. Breeze was great. He's probably retiring. Phillip Rivers is retiring. And then the other guys are in the good category. These guys are good. They're not great yet. Deshaun Watson's really, really good. He's not great yet, but he's really, really good. And so you have this varying level. And look, 2 years ago, if you told me who the next big thing at quarterback was going to be, I'd have told you, I think Carson Wentz has a tremendous potential because he has an Elway-like arm. He's mobile. His team, went through a regular season and won a Super Bowl. Now, he played most of that regular season, got hurt right at the end, and then Nick Foles carried them through, and that's a wild story. But I thought that team had staying power. They clearly did not. He's gone. Head coach is gone. A ton of the players from that Super Bowl run are gone. And Philadelphia is kind of a conundrum right now.
Yeah, it's a fall from grace in a way, but the NFL and quarterbacks, it's a love-hate relationship. Everyone wants one. Everyone will overextend for one. And in fact, I have that stat in a minute. The Eagles will now save $25.4 million for this year. They will now save nearly $100 million in cap space the next 4 years. They will carry, though, a $33.8 million dead money, gain a third-round pick, and a conditional second-round pick. So if Carson Wentz plays well for the Colts, there's things that could kick in that could make that a second-round pick.
No, it'll make it a first.
Oh, a first second. Pick. Yeah, conditional second could be a first, which would be great. The Colts pick up that $25.4 million tag. They will owe him, Wentz, $22 million in 2022. So basically, they made this trade, gave up a third round, possibly a first or second round, one or the other, and they have Wentz really only committed to him for $40-some million. And in quarterback terms, that's pretty cheap, and for 2 years, and that's it. If he works out, great. If he doesn't, you go find somebody else.
Yeah, and think of it this way: what the Colts have done here with picking up Carson Wentz. Okay, if they have to give up a first round pick, the only reason it would kick in is if they're winning in the playoffs. So it could be from 25 to 32. So if Carson Wentz works out for them, they're giving up a pick that's lower in the first round that they might have had to pick a quarterback with anyway. And so it's worked out. They can get out of it after 2 years. So that's not a huge deal. And then for the Eagles, this is the best offer you were going to get for Carson Wentz, who was on the decline, but you're sending him back to the coach who had the most success with him, and Frank Reich, when he was there. So I like this deal, at least on the surface. And I think Carson Wentz still has a lot of, look, if you can get Ryan Tannehill, who was just a bust in Miami, to be one of not just an effective quarterback, but he's one of the best quarterbacks the last 2 years in the NFL, then you can do it with Carson Wentz. That's all they do with Carson Wentz.
Well, here's the deal. The Eagles have Jalen Hurts. We know that. And they gave him a little bit of course, there's the controversy that eventually got Doug Peterson fired because they took him out in a game that they were still in against the Redskins and pissed everybody off, including even their fan base. Although most of the fan base wanted them to lose because it's a better pick. This is amazing. This was Carson Wentz who, when they won the Super Bowl, led by Nick Foles in the postseason at the end of the regular season, he was an MVP type guy that year. And 3 years later, Peterson's gone. The Eagles, as you said, are a wreck, and Carson Wentz is now playing for Indianapolis. It's a crazy. I don't know. That doesn't mean he's a bust, but it's a hell of a fall from grace. It's a tremendous fall.
All right, I'm going to read you this list. These are the quarterbacks drafted. This is from RJ Ochoa, who was on the show yesterday. If you haven't heard that podcast, I would suggest you go back and listen to it. Jared, the 2016 quarterbacks taken in the draft: Jared Goff, Carson Wentz, Paxton Lynch, Christian Hackenberg, Jacoby Brissett, Cody Kessler, Connor Cook, Dak Prescott, Cardale Jones, Kevin Hogan, Nate Sudfeld, Jake Rudock, Brandon Allen, Jeff Driscoll, and Brandon Doughty. Only one of those guys now has the potential to play this season for the team that drafted him, and that's Dak Prescott.
And even and that's a story because of the back and forth, mainly on length. Not that the Cowboys don't want him, but there's a little drama even with him. Now, you want to go a year in front of that?
Yeah.
With Carson Wentz being traded, there is now not a single quarterback drafted in the first round from 2009 through 2016 with their original team. You want to hear the list?
Well, Matthew Stafford would be on that list, right?
Stafford is gone.
Mm-hmm.
Mark Sanchez.
Yeah.
Is that Josh Freeman?
Yeah.
Sam Bradford, Tim Tebow, who retired, and I know that was a broken-hearted moment for you in baseball. Cam Newton, Locker, Gabbert, Ponder, Luck, RG3, Tannehill, Whedon, Manuel. Boy, some of these hit close to home to you. Yeah. Bortles, Johnny Football, Bridgewater, Jameis Winston, and Mariota.
Yeah.
All of them. Oh, and by the way, the ones you mentioned from 16 were Wentz, Lynch, and Goff. None of them. And this is the most important position in football, right?
Yeah.
How could NFL teams be that inept? I know you said there's not that many of them, but that is completely, in 2008, to go 1 year ahead, Matt Ryan is still with the Falcons. Joey Flacco's no longer with Baltimore, but he at least had a fairly decent run there. I mean, that is completely, now they have a great run now of Mahomes, Allen, Kyler, Jackson, Deshaun. Some of them still have to be seen, but good gosh, what a horrible stretch for football quarterbacks in the NFL.
Well, look, you can probably put Trubisky on that list.
Trubisky should be on that list. Yep.
He's going to be this, he'll be that from that draft with those guys, Mahomes and Watson. He'll be the first one to leave because he's a free agent now.
Yeah.
And yeah. He's not coming back to Chicago. You wouldn't think.
And even Mahomes, who's the next heir apparent to Brady, was the 10th overall pick.
Yeah.
He was not the first quarterback, I don't think. Rodgers, who, of course, is the dinosaur in this group, along with Brady and even Big Ben Roethlisberger, was the 24th overall pick. Russell Wilson, who's still among the elite, right?
Yeah.
75th overall pick.
Yeah. And here's the thing. He's talking about move. I mean, there's buzz around him. I don't think Russell Wilson's ultimately going to get traded. I didn't take what he said as a slight as much as I think people may think it is, but you never know. In the internet era, things get out of hand. But quarterbacks in the NFL, I mean, it is. But you can I can go through if you went through that list, if you pick a random name from that list, and we can just throw out one, and we'll say we'll do this a couple times. We're not gonna do it for them all, but pick a name from the list, and I'll say why they failed.
All right, Sam Bradford.
Injured too much.
Is it Jake Locker?
Jake Locker wasn't that good. Like he was.
Blaine Gabbert.
Blaine Gabbert is a backup, and he's been a backup in the league, and that's what his deal is.
And he's going to end up with, a pretty nice, he's kind of like Matt Flynn in a way, but even not as effective. All right, Christian Ponder.
Christian Ponder. I think that was intersecting things that happened to Christian Ponder. One, he was probably a guy who was destined to be, had he been in the league a longer time, like he was going to be one of those guys like Rich Gannon, that if he had been good, it would have been later. Like he would have had to play and learn a bunch of systems, and his heart one wasn't in it after that, but he just went into a situation where they didn't have people around him to make him good. I mean, Andrew Luck, injured, but I mean, he was a guy who was an elite quarterback until he just could not stay healthy.
Yeah. And then he had, what was it? Was it the shoulder? And he stopped having much oomph. And then eventually he retired, and he's so, he's a guy that could walk away and end up probably already running some sort of company. Robert Griffin III.
Okay. His was twofold: injuries and the fact, here's what, and this is, I guarantee you, this is the reason for almost all of them, injuries, and the team mortgaged its future to get him, and they didn't have enough players around him when he got there. You mortgage your future to go up and get a player, or like those draft picks, when you have players to set him in around him. They had guys, that team wound up being good, but they had a lot of guys who were expiring contracts or retiring and that. And so then year two comes along, he's got less players. He's coming off an injury, and they don't have anything to put around him. So RG3 is now go win games for us, and you're not healthy. And then, you throw in the fact that it's,
we got a lot more to get to.
Yeah.
Ryan Tannehill.
Ryan Tannehill wasn't ready to be a starter when he was in Miami. Needed somebody who do it. Yeah.
Whatever the hell his name was, Whedon.
Brandon Whedon.
Brandon Whedon, Oklahoma State.
Wound up having a long career as a backup, but just wasn't good.
Manuel from Florida State.
Way overrated.
Okay.
I mean, just way overrated. I mean, people liked his but just overrated.
Blake Bortles, big, strong, looked
Same.
like he was good coming out. I had the big run the senior year, made Baylor look silly in a bowl game.
When Jacksonville put a team around him that took the pressure off him, he was fine. But when that wasn't working, he could not win games by himself.
Johnny Manziel.
Drugs.
Teddy Bridgewater.
Teddy's an NFL starting quarterback, but he's not an NFL starting quarterback that's going to help you win a lot of games. He's a bridge guy.
He's about to be on his fourth team, right?
But he's the starter caliber. I mean, like, if you have to start Teddy Bridgewater, you can get by with Teddy Bridgewater. If you're trying to get through a season, if you're in between, like
Jameis Winston.
Jameis Winston is probably the most accomplished one of all these guys who are busts as far as statistics go, but could not get out of his own way. And the Bucs had a roster built around him, and he was holding them back.
Marcus Mariota.
I would say injuries with him, could never get consistent.
Jared Goff.
Jared Goff. This one still surprises me because it just kind of happened this year. He was good and very effective and got his team to a Super Bowl, but then I think Jared Goff is more, he and Sean McVay just don't get along anymore.
Cowboys quarterback Paxton Lynch.
Not good. Wasn't good.
Yeah.
Overrated.
Can you believe that? I mean, had he been available, wouldn't they have taken him? Isn't that the rumor? Or isn't that the thought? Yeah. All right.
They were trying to trade up for him.
So 254-339-1122. Paul Catalina, David Smoak. We take you up until 6 o'clock today. Carson Wentz traded to the Colts. Right now, the NFC East quarterbacks are Jalen Hurts, I guess, with Philadelphia. You have Heineke with the Redskins.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what they're going to do with Alex Smith. You have Dak with the Cowboys. And there's no question. And then Daniel Jones, who's a guy that, just don't over push him, don't rush, but showed some promise, although he still turns the ball over way too much. That's who the NFC East has at quarterback. And Dak is far and away, at least ahead of even Daniel Jones, who made a little bit of a move last year. I kind of like what I see with him, but they have to obviously surround him with more weapons. Mm-hmm. Why is the quarterback position so damn hard to find, so hard to hit, and also yet people just give up stuff to get up in the draft to take him when it appears as if most likely you're going to miss. It's crazy. 254-339-1122.
And this is the conundrum, like why the Cowboys haven't gotten this done with Dak. Everything has fallen apart. Like if you looked at all this, like all the plans of quarterbacks in the same draft have fallen apart around Dak. And he is like out. Jared Goff got his team to the Super Bowl and Carson Wentz got his team close. And they're both traded because of different but similar issues, different issues on each one, but kind of similar things. Dak is the most consistent of all those guys. He's been good every year he's played.
Yep.
You know, he doesn't have a Jared Goff and a Carson Wentz year where they were so bad their teams wanted to get rid of him. Dak has been good every year. As a matter of fact, before he broke his leg this year, he was the whole thing the Cowboys had going. Dak.
But
so why have they botched this?
It's all about the years, and it's all about him wanting to become a free agent. He's got an agent that realizes that Dak kind of holds the cards. Jerry will never allow someone to leave that he doesn't want to leave. Very rarely has he done that. And speaking of that, by the way, when you think about Dak and the fact that they could be tied up with the cap because of whatever number, 35, 38, 40, whatever he gets, do they now regret what they did with Zeke Elliott? Because they let DeMarco Murray walk and they found his backup immediately. Do they regret extending? Because he was, a top 5 back, and now he's probably not right now a top 10 back.
Yeah, and again, I'm willing to let Zeke have a gap year, so to speak, and see where he's got with the offense at full tilt. But they have to be thinking that like maybe that wasn't a good deal.
But Paul, it's another year on those legs, no matter what.
And like I said, a year. Like let's see what happens with him, because again, he could come out and play well next year, and they're going to have him anyway. But yeah, it certainly looks that way, and they've got to be like I know they regret Zeke a little bit, even though they won't say it. They've got to regret Jalen Smith a lot.
Yeah.
Because they didn't have to, like, the one thing about Jalen Smith is they didn't have to do it.
Well, but that was, Jerry, excuse me, I got like 3 glasses, one in my pocket. Jerry did with Jalen Smith what he used to do that he got away from, and he couldn't help it. He fell in love with Jalen Smith, the salesperson. He's very similar to a young, you know what I mean? He's a marketing guy. He fell in love with Jalen Smith's story. It's almost like he felt sorry for him that he was not drafted, or whenever he was drafted late, and he wanted to make up for it. No, that's when you take advantage of that situation.
They didn't have to do it. Like Zeke made him freak out because of part of the thing is the Cowboys always think that they're just one guy away from the Super Bowl when that's clearly not been the case. So if Zeke used their past against them, and that Emmitt Smith held out and they went 0-2 and Jerry freaked out and didn't want to have him again. Look, the best extension they've done in the last few years is DeMarcus Lawrence, because they literally did wait till they had to do it.
Yeah.
They waited till they had to do it and get him, and they got him. I mean, but like,
and then with Dak, they might be waiting until it's too late.
Yeah. If they have to play with him under the franchise tag this year, this is Dak's last year in Dallas, because they can't do that again. And if they let him go to the open market, dear Lord, what's he going to get? They're not going to be able, they're going to have to be another quarterback.
There's about half the teams in the NFL that would pay $40 million for him a year and not even blink. Not blink. I know you could name 8 of them off the top of your head. Okay.
Look, so I'll tell you the one that would, if they have the cap room, and that they would make it happen to do it. Okay, so Drew Brees retires this year.
Yep.
Next year will be a competition more than likely in New Orleans between Jameis Winston, who I think Sean Payton can do a lot of good things with, and Taysom Hill, who he has a lot of faith in. And they won games with this year without Drew Brees. But if it comes down to Dak Prescott as the free agent, you don't think Sean Payton's going to tell the Saints there? Like, you know what I can, like, here's Jameis and Taysom Hill. I've got them. Guess what? Combine those 2 guys a little bit, and you've got Dak.
He's going to be, if he was to hit the open market, if the Cowboys wanted to know, okay, we think that's too much, let him go. Let him, like, just transition tag him. That's still there. Remember that one? Everyone thinks about franchise. Transition tag him and let some team come out and immediately give you 2 first-round picks. If you, and you know he's not leaving. He's not. Jerry won't let that happen somehow or another, and then they'll sit down and just talk about its business. But getting back to the point of quarterbacks, why is it so freaking hard to be able to land quality quarterbacks. Now, recently, I just mentioned Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and then, again, on that one, he's made it now a couple of years. You have, obviously, Patrick Mahomes, and there's a few others, but why? And Dak has to be a part of that because he's only at the end of his, fourth or fifth year.
Yeah. I do think this about quarterbacks. Most of the time leading up to the last 15, 20 years, you could draft a quarterback and you could sit them for at least a year. I think that's benefited Patrick Mahomes to no end that benefit him to sit behind Alex Smith for a year. Andy Reid didn't have to rush him out there and go say, hey, go save the franchise. And most quarterbacks are rookies and they've got to play right away. And the thing is, if you've got the first pick in the draft or the second pick in the draft, you're a lot more than just that dude away from being a Super Bowl contender. So either you have a great draft and a great free agency class and build that around him immediately, or you know what, you're going to be bad. So you need a special kind of player like Peyton. Look, Peyton Manning started right away when the Colts drafted him because he's Peyton Manning, but they also, he was strong enough and good enough to withstand being 3-13 his first year. Troy Aikman was tough enough up here to withstand all the stuff that the Cowboys went through in his first 2 years, but not everybody is. You'll hear our guest Jake Query later on mention David Carr. David Carr wasn't ready here to deal with what the Texans had to go through for him. David Carr gets drafted first overall by the Giants, say in a year where the Texans wouldn't do it. He might be a 15-year starter in the league to some level of, because he might've been ready to deal with that with a franchise who's more established. The Texans were babies. I mean, he was their first player, so I think that's a big thing. That's why, a lot of guys, they're not ready here. Robert Griffin III, nobody could have been ready. As smart and savvy and confident as Robert is, he by his own admission wasn't mature enough to handle it yet. And that organization's not mature enough to handle most things for the last 30 years. So those things combine, and then you have this situation.
Yeah, I'm going to put this up on my Twitter feed, see if we get any hits on it. Looking at what that was, Field Yates, who put that at Field Yates on Twitter from ESPN, put out that run of 9 through 16. That's 0 for 22. Mm-hmm. 0 for 22 on those quarterbacks who were drafted in the first round from 2009 to 2016 that are with their original team. Because Dak was not a first-round pick. He was a fourth-round pick. And Russell Wilson was, of course, he's been in the league longer than that. It's crazy. And Wentz looked like he was going to be the 8 to 10-year guy, and good luck to him. I like Carson Wentz, but what I saw from him at times, when I watched the NFL, which I would watch the Cowboys and I would watch Washington since they were a little more relevant, and I watched the games that were good games that, I knew were teams that were most likely going to be playing in January. I saw Carson Wentz make some of the worst, not only throws, but some god-awful decisions. Yeah, Brady had that one against somebody where he threw it up for grabs. Yeah, Russell Wilson's had some and even others, but good gosh, Carson Wentz was awful last year.
I think he and Doug Peterson had kind of had enough of each other. I think Doug Peterson ran out of ways to get creative with Carson Wentz. I just I keep thinking back to the Cowboys game this year, the first Cowboys game that the Eagles played, in that the Cowboys were in that game. And at that point in their season, they were not playing well at all, but Carson Wentz was keeping them in it. And this is the worst run defense in the history of as a team, the Cowboys. The Eagles at the time had both their running backs healthy, and Sanders and Boston Scott. Why are you not just take some of the pressure off of Carson Wentz? And I don't care if you get to the third or fourth string running back, just turn around, hand it off, and watch the Cowboys huff and puff their way to going, we can't stop these guys. And then let Carson Wentz throw a couple passes to tight ends and call it a day.
Oh, I know. I don't know, man. It's crazy. It really, really is. So that's that. Oh, Carson Wentz almost won an MVP, got hurt. Eagles kept playing. Nick Foles, who's now been on 2 or 3 teams since then. How many teams has Nick Foles been a part of since the run he made in Philadelphia?
2. So
Denver? Was it Denver?
No, he went to Jacksonville.
And then
and then the Jags traded him to Chicago. And he's probably, I mean, right now he's Chicago's starting quarterback if the season starts today because Trubisky's a free agent and who knows what's going to go on with that. And look, Nick Foles, after he got released by the Eagles the first time, I think he had a short stint with the Rams and somebody else before he came back.
Yeah, it doesn't make much sense. And he's going to end up being a guy who's been playing now for about a decade, has a Super Bowl ring, Super Bowl MVP, but he made the Pro Bowl one time, and that was when he was with Philadelphia the first time. It's why? 254-339-1122. Seriously, why is it so hard? Let's go to the text line. Scotty B. I think part of the problem is the quarterbacks have not made enough adjustments to NFL in terms of the style of offense. But, it was at some point, Scotty, thanks for the email or the text. Paul, it was at one point it might have been a pretty good argument because the college game was different than the NFL game. That's not the case anymore. I'm not saying they're 10 times better, 10 times faster, bigger, better, faster, stronger. But now you see the NFL has gone to a more wide open game. So you would think the transition, and maybe that's why Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson, even Dak, maybe that's why they're having success, but not that group in front of them because it had not yet been so common in the NFL.
That's a great point, in that the NFL is slow to adapt to things, and then once they adapt to it, everybody copies each other. So somebody decided hey, why don't we do some of the things that they do? You don't have to do everything college can do. I mean, nobody's running the triple option, but why does the NFL go, well, why can't we do this? If our athletes are better than theirs and they can do it, why can we not do this and do some of these things? So let's do the things that quarterbacks are comfortable with. Plus it doesn't help that those offenses is that you could always back in the day kind of go back and tell a kid, even if he ran, if he was at San Diego State or Houston or something, like running an air raid type offense, most of the time he didn't come from that in high school. Back in the 80s and 90s, he ran a pretty traditional offense. So you could kind of harken back to that. But now people aren't playing pro style offenses until they get to the pros. Unless you play for Jimbo Fisher or, Jeff Tedford's not anywhere right now, is he? Unless you play for a guy like that, Mike Sherman's not coaching, so, who are the pro style coaches now?
I don't know.
Matt Rule was a pro style coach. Guess what the pros said? You're here now. And then they went, and his offensive coordinator was from LSU. I mean, he was a wide open guy. Let's go get him. So even that, it's all about innovation.
All right. When we come back, 329, we'll take more of your calls. Well, the calls are out because we're not in studio. Armstrong Sims is for us in terms of what we've seen or heard from him. This is Armstrong being the Iron Man. Back-to-back days. Armstrong, check in with us. Let's see what your hair looks like today. It was a mess yesterday. Oh, okay. You got the bad background. Are you back home?
No, I'm still in my friend's house, but I've been kicked to a bedroom because there are people who want to do things in the living room, right?
Okay.
So I'm in a friend's bedroom.
Are you staying there?
No, I'm not staying here. I'm just here because I have power and water and all that. I just don't have internet. So I'm just here during the day to use their internet.
So do I need to get this guy on camera and negotiate better position for you? Because it seems like you've been demoted in that house.
I definitely have been demoted. Yeah. I'm sitting on the floor, but it's okay.
No, yeah. You look like you go to your room, like one of those things. But all right, there's Armstrong Sims. It's back-to-back days for him. I appreciate you, Armstrong. You know that. My goodness, can't wait to get back to the studio. I think we should have been on there in the studio as early as Monday, but there's like 10 people, and I was voted off the island every day this week.
Hey, Smokey, there wasn't power or internet at the studio, so it would have been fruitless to go there.
We could have used what's his name, Patrick Lawrence's place.
He lives. It's the whole building had no power. So again, fruitless to go.
You guys stay where you are and leave me alone then. So we're going to come back. 254-339-1122. Mack Rhoades today. Many things to get to. He does not know this, Paul. By the way, guess what I found? Can you see that? I just randomly, and I don't even know how I came about this. Might have been maybe at a convenience store. I'm gonna taunt him with this because we know he likes to go into Dave Aranda's office and maybe every once in a while grab a package or two. So we're gonna have that. There's a lot to get to with him. One, the men resume on Tuesday next week. The women get pushed back a day. The dead period being extended. I don't know, and this came from Frank. This dead period that like just seems like they might as well just like say it's forever. It keeps getting pushed back. It's getting pushed back because, again, doing some homework, most on the council, those on the council, the non-Power 5 schools or conferences, they have a pretty powerful vote in this thing. Of course they want the dead period to continue to linger, right? They don't want that to back because that allows the Power 5. Or who wins here?
Well, I mean, I guess they would, because if I was a kid who was hoping, like, maybe I had an offer from North Texas and La Tech and Arkansas State and things like that, but I was just right on the cusp of getting a Power 5 offer, and I just needed one of them to let me do a visit. Just one. Well, now everybody's going to try to limit what they're going to maximize what they have. So if you're that kid, say he's a quarterback, and he's got those offers, he's just waiting for that, like if it's Arkansas, if it's Oklahoma, whoever it is, he just wants the Power 5 offer, and maybe that'll open the floodgates. Well, if you only have limited time to spend with these kids, then you're going to go out for the dudes who are up top and then clean it up on the back end, right? That's what I would do.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go. Who's the guy who just committed to Texas for 2022?
Oh yeah, the kid from California.
Yeah, that guy. Well, that guy's going to get even more looks and more pressure, and then the other guys are going to maybe get less. So yeah, I think the non-Power 5s, because then I can get a kid who, he hasn't talked to anybody, nobody's called him. And then I'm Louisiana Monroe, and I call him and go, hey, do you want to go here? He's like, yes.
I think that Baylor, even though their quarterback room is young and very talented, I was on a station today in Little Rock this morning. They were asking me about Bohannon. You really look at who's in that room right now with Zeno, Bohannon, obviously the young kid from Louisiana, I just went blank. Chapin, and now Kyron Drones and CJ Rogers coming in as a walk-on. I think under other previous circumstances, if he could have taken some visits, maybe he still ends up at Baylor, but there's no question he gets a scholarship offer from more than just some of the middle of the road type programs. Yeah, and so that might, who knows, maybe if there's ever a story down the road about CJ, that might be part of the reason, because of the dead period being extended. I saw this as well, and then we break. From Kendall Rogers, the Ivy League announced it will have no conference games and will not allow any of the Ivy League teams to play each other as non-conference games this spring in baseball. Teams will be relegated to very local games only. The Ivy will not have an automatic bid to the 2021 postseason. Is it almost to the point, do you get the opinion that the Ivy League wants to just get rid of athletics?
It feels like they want to, if not get rid of it, reshuffle the deck seriously. Like what? Like
they didn't play football. They're not playing football, right?
Yeah.
They're not going to play baseball.
Yeah.
Are they playing basketball?
I don't think so. So
I haven't seen.
I think they're using this as look, there's money coming through those Ivy League schools. So it's not like they can be like, this is a budget crisis. They got to call name an Ivy League grad. They could call and be like, hey, can you help get us through this thing? I think they're using coronavirus as an excuse to reshuffle the deck.
Well, now there's baseball that's going to be based. And if you're a baseball player, should that not give you the ability, if you're at Dartmouth, if you're at Cornell, like J.D., Is that not give you the right now to go, hey, I'm moving south or wherever, and go play? Could you play this semester?
Yeah, I don't know. That'd be an interesting question for the NCAA.
Maybe I have to ask Mack Rhoades that question. We will. 3:35 when we come back. More from you. 254-339-1122. The Twitter question is up on my handle at David Smoak. And the question, of course, as I mentioned earlier, is why is it so hard? And if it is so hard to get it right with quarterbacks, at least during that almost decade stretch, and you have Dak Prescott, be careful. This is SicEm365 Radio.
1, 2.
I'm in love with a man named Rudy. I'm okay with that. He knows exactly what I want. He keeps me coming back. Cooks breakfast, lunch, and dinner for me. Does the dishes too. I'm in love with a man named Rudy. Last name Barbecue. It sure is easy to fall in love with Rudy's tasty oak smoked barbecue.
Next in line.
We've sent the nomination forms to area high school counselors for the 11th annual Academic All-Stars team, and we will find 20 elite student athletes who excel in both academic and athletic competition from Central Texas high schools. Hello, everyone. This is David Smoak. Our title sponsor is Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, protecting Texans since 1952. The 2021 Academic All-Stars program is also brought to you by Westdale Asset Management, Englander Design Pack, Southwest Sports Medicine, Allen Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat, Coca-Cola of Waco, Ray Broker Air Conditioning and Heating, Texas Sports Hall of Fame, HEB, the McLean Group, Universal Windows Direct, Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue, and the Waco Foundation are 501c3. Nomination deadlines March 31st. We'll eventually announce the team on Monday, May 3rd. Honor them at our annual banquet on Wednesday, May the 19th. It's the 11th annual Academic All-Stars team highlighting the elite student athletes in Central Texas right here on SicEm365 Radio.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Are you ready to say big on a new 2020 Chrysler 300 Touring? A car with superior craftsmanship and quality. During the President's Day event at Allen Samuels, say big and drive a new 2020 Chrysler 300 Touring with special values of $7,250 or 0% for 72 months and $2,000 in combo cash right now. Visit the customer award-winning Allen Samuels located at 201 West Loop 340 in Waco to see the incredible 2020 Chrysler 300 Touring. It's the best President's Day event going on now at Allen Samuels, your friend in the car business. See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
Have you downloaded the SicEm365 Radio app? Do it today on the App Store and Google Play.
Oh, there we go. All right. I just put the question up on SicEm365.com in the premium section about the quarterbacks. Some of it is injury. It's not all just inept personnel decisions. Some of it is fit. Some of it is experience. Some of it is people around the quarterbacks, as Paul mentioned. And as you said, if you overextend to go get somebody then those are 2 or 3 players or draft picks that you don't have to put in positions that may not even have anything to do with the offense, but make the offense better because it makes your defense better, which, is what the Cowboys, Paul, need to do. They are about, they wasted, well, they didn't waste, but they went through the Tony Romo era where they got lucky because 32 teams, including the Cowboys, said no to him 7 times, in some cases 8 or 10 times. So they get Romo, they strike it with him. Then they strike it with Dak, and they have struck it with Dak. People can debate it all they want. So you could go through like 20 years with the 2 of them combined, and if you don't win with 2 guys that you get pretty fortunate with, my God, what do you expect to do down the road?
Yeah. How do you, again, they got lucky. You can't keep doing that because again, they went through the desert between Aikman and Romo, and while they had some guys that were good for a little bit, they didn't have guys who were good. Dak has been good all 5 years he's been in the league. All 5. He's been good. You just can't throw that away. And I know that sometimes he leaves people wanting, and I can't figure out why, but I think it's just Cowboys fans' ultimate desperation to get back. But yeah, they can't screw this up. They've got to get it together. They have to get it together on Dak. And I ultimately think that they will. It's just started to creep into my mind now that they're getting to a situation where if they dig their heels in too far, they're going to get to a point where they can't. If it's July 16th and they haven't gotten a deal done, then that's it for Dak. That's it. 1 year gone.
They'll never let him walk if they don't want him to. Even if the agent says or Dak says, and here's the thing, there's a story out there today, and I can't remember who had it out there. It might have been something as simple as the Dallas Morning News. It may have been Clarence Hill, where Dak, along with others, and he's not the only one, there might have been 15 other players who play for the Cowboys, but Dak was helping either send money to various places for meals to be taken to those who were in need of meals, not just your everyday meal drive or whatever, or food drive, that in this situation going on right now, that Dak was a major part of supporting this particular drive. May have been with pure money. Hey, he's a good person.
Yeah,
you cannot above average quarterback. He's a really good person.
I'll tell you, and he has the potential to be a dominant player in the league. We've seen it. He's got potential to do a lot of really good things. We've seen it. It's got to be, on and on, but he's been good all the time. And, he's in the top 10 quarterbacks in the league. There's no, you can decide who's within the top 10 and rank them, but there's not a top 10 without him in it. There's just not. So you've got a top 10 quarterback, build around him and do that. The Cowboys' problem is that since Jimmy Johnson and Barry Switzer, that era, since the glory days, they have not been able to build both sides of the ball together that match each other. Either the offense is great and the defense is terrible, or the defense is really good and the offense, can't do one thing. They can only pass, they can only run, and they can't do either one when they need to. So that's been their problem. Now you've got a guy who allows you to have that consistency for half of a decade at least, if not more, because you'd probably extend him out anyway, but you can't get it done because you want to win. How many good ideas do we skip over in this country because we want to be the one who had it? Let's not do that, Jerry. Let's not be the one who has the good idea. Just go, okay, this is it. I've finally been backed into a corner. I'm now, 350-1 in these situations.
Yeah. He will not leave Dallas. I'll bet whatever, I'll put a pretty good amount of, not money, but just my professional opinion, which is not breaking news, by the way, because, again, they can go back and forth. By the way, Daniel, again, as always, he and Scotty B among others. We did hear from, by the way, TJ checked in earlier today on Twitter with me. He's been out of pocket for a couple of weeks, and then they've had some issues with power outages. TJ said he'll be back. Obviously thinking about Steven. Steven Vaughn in Virginia checked in to make sure all of us were okay. And so we appreciate all of those you asking if we're doing okay, and vice versa. Some of you who are dealing with a lot of problems as well. So Daniel sent the story. Dak Prescott, Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott and Matthew McConaughey helped buy meals for homeless Dallas residents staying at the city's convention center during the winter storms. On Our Calling is the name of this. I'm issuing a red alert. This is from Texas Agriculture Commissioner. So Dak Prescott and Matthew McConaughey both donated money to help buy the meals for the homeless. And you know, again, there might have been a guy named John Frank or, you know, possibly Bridget Smith, who also bought meals or put money into it. But when you get the names like that, they're going to get more of the attention. But that's pretty cool.
To me, Dak Prescott has he's got everything you want. He's got the ability of Tony Romo. I mean, he's that kind of a talented athlete. He's got the community awareness and passion for it as Jason Witten did. And he's got the marketability of Troy Aikman. I mean, like, so you have all these good things like in there. Like if I was doing an interview and I said, oh, here's all the things I want in a quarterback, the only thing that Dak Prescott wouldn't have to me is that he wasn't drafted higher. And that's on the other 30. Like he's been better than all these other guys. He should have been drafted higher. You know, like, sometimes like Russell Wilson should have been drafted higher, but sometimes you get pegged into this little hole that's not you. So I don't know if he's a first round quarterback, but he certainly outplayed the fourth round. So what else do I want? Like, do I not like one of his tattoos? Does that what I have to nitpick about? There's nothing not to like about Dak. Nothing.
The only thing you could say is that there was a year when he was the starting quarterback and they still struggled. They were well under 500, but for the most part, I look at it in a way of where I would like if I would like him to quarterback my team, which of course the Washington Football Club team, whatever franchise has been inept. And they missed on RG3 or they screwed that up. And then on Kirk Cousins, they let him walk too. I can't imagine the Cowboys will ever get to that point. And honestly, we got to a point really even at some point last year where we got numb to this. But now the clock is ticking a year later. I will, whatever I need to put on it, he will not play for somebody else. He will not be traded. He will not walk. He will not be allowed to walk. He will be a part of the Cowboys and they're going to sign a deal. His sponsorships, and you know, I saw a story one time about him where he doesn't just sponsor whoever contacts his agent. He has Chunky, whatever that is, the Chunky Soup, Dannon Yogurt. He's got Sleep Number, which we got him, Paul, because you walked up to him, the lady at the Super Bowl, and they said, hey, you want Dak? Sure. So he's not just going out and just doing everything, but he's AT&T, Adidas, Beats by Dre, Campbell's Chunky Soup, DirecTV, and Sleep Number. Those are some great businesses that have reached out to him because they see what he also represents as well. You can't just be a good person to represent some of these. They have to be a pretty damn good athlete too. Mm-hmm. You could beat Dak. There's a lot of quarterbacks that are really nice people, but if they're not like relevant in the game that they play, whatever sport we're talking about, then the endorsement doesn't mean much unless you're talking about somebody that's outside the realm of sports. But in sports, you got to be relevant. You got to be more than relevant. You got to be a good spokesperson, someone people can trust, and then also somebody that is among the best at what he does in his sport, in this particular case, football. I don't know.
Absolutely. And that's what he is. There's nothing wrong with that, Cowboy fans. Anything you're trying to nitpick about is just, you're kind of getting to the, like, you know, it's like you're dating a supermodel and be like, yeah, but she's got really bony toes. So what, man? You're dating a supermodel. Who cares about her bony toes?
It's going to be interesting to see how this all falls out. Here's kind of a nice little discussion about this. Is from Ed Kratz, who's going to join us. He, of course, with SI.com, Eagle Maven, SI.com covers the Eagles. One of the responses to his era flaming out with diminishing returns, one of the responses to him was, I just don't think that Justin Fields or Zach Wilson are above Hurts's level. Run with Jalen, bring in Tyrod for $5 million a year as insurance. So many holes to fill. 4 picks in the top 85. You know, again, maybe that works. I like what I saw from Jalen, but he is someone that has to learn how to protect the football better. No question about it.
Absolutely.
All right. 3:51 is the time. 254-339-1122. That's the text line, again, brought to you by Riverbend Liquor and Wine. And thanks to the various responses from Scotty and Daniel as well on the quarterbacks. But one of the other things that continues to be used, and it's not lazy, because that wouldn't be fair for me to say this, but one of the arguments about quarterbacks is the transition from the game of college football, the way it's played compared to the NFL. The transition is incredibly difficult as far as just the players you're facing. But the game now of college football, with the way the game is played in college football, is now not much different style-wise than what you're seeing in the NFL, that people have finally said, damn, if the college football game is going to produce Deshaun Watson, Lamar Jackson, if they're going to produce guys who are a part of the spread and throw it around, if they can run or not, dual threat or not, then we might as well start to figure out a way to make sure, if there aren't many other quarterbacks, that your stand-up Aaron Rodgers, who's also mobile, then we gotta change what we do. Do you think we'll ever go back to the point where the mobile quarterback is not highly valued in the NFL draft?
No.
You fall in love with them. You
Yeah.
do. I mean, Patrick Mahomes, of course, had the toe issue. He's having surgery, and you hope that goes well, and he doesn't have that kind of bother him for the rest of, or for the next, while, because that can be an issue, and it was with him, even though he was still mobile enough to scramble early on in the Super Bowl until they completely just started to just get in his head as well. But it's hard not to want that guy, because then name the ones who are statues of liberty in the back, that go back to pass and cannot move. I mean, even Big Ben, wasn't he at one point somewhat mobile, Paul?
Yes, he was. These are all things we can talk about after Jake Query, because we were running up against it, Smokey.
All right. We'll come back and do that with him. He covers the Indianapolis Colts, and he's next on SicEm365 Radio.
At Baylor University, students find their place to shine. They're faithful friends and inspirational leaders. They're championship teammates and independent thinkers. They're on the cutting edge of high tech and in the halls of history. If you want to make the world a brighter place, you can. And if you want to shine in your own way, you can. The spark you need is already inside you. Bring it to Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, cause weight gain, and wreak havoc on your sexual desire and performance. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results, so if you're tired of being tired, I challenge you to man up and Google search Low T Waco or go online, pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $150 a month, includes lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, follow-up visits, compared to $395 a month in Dallas or Austin, and you don't have to fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T is board-certified physician consultations, will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone available. Contact Petty Clinic Low T today, just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway. Petty Clinic Low T, helping men become the high-performance men they deserve to be. PettyClinicLowT.com or Google search Low T Waco.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has protected fellow Texans with auto, home, health, and life insurance since 1952. With more than 260,000 square miles of land and 27 million people, that's a lot to cover. Whether you're wrangling cattle or wrangling kids, we're proud to protect Texans and all Texan ways of life.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, everyone. This is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like mortgage lending, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas, familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
This is SicEm365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The SicEm365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
Jared Query joins us here on SicEm365 Radio. A friend of my friend, Derek Schultz, Query and Schultz, the podcast. They cover the Indianapolis sports scene, the Colts and everything. Of course, the big news today, Carson Wentz rejoining his former offensive coordinator now, Colts head coach Frank Reich in a trade. Jake, for the Colts, I can see where fans might be a little lukewarm in this given the last season of Carson Wentz's play, but it does seem like they made a good deal given what's on the horizon contract-wise and everything else.
Yeah, I think that's, the real issue here, right, is you have to look at it and really take a deep dive on what did the Colts give up. And realistically, originally when Philly was saying, or the rumor was that Philly wanted 2 number ones, come on, I don't think that was ever going to be a possibility for Indianapolis, but they were able to be patient. They basically are taking on, give or take $500,000 here or there, $47 million of a cap hit over the next 2 years. And that sounds like a lot of money, but it still puts the Colts in position where they have the 4th highest cap room still, even after that. So Chris Ballard had really reserved for a lot of money to be made available. A lot of that is because, of course, Phillip Rivers is not on the books, and they were paying him a lot of money last year, Jacoby Brissett as well. So Indianapolis is in a pretty good situation financially, even though I think you could still say from a financial standpoint, Carson Wentz might be overpaid based on what he's coming off of. But there is enough on the resume there to be enticed by what he has shown he is capable of doing. He has absolutely, speaking of Carson Wentz, regressed in the last year. There's no doubt about that. But I think Chris Ballard and Frank Reich both are banking on the fact that Reich and the comfortability that comes with, or just the security for Carson Wentz that comes with playing with a guy or for a guy that he is familiar with and started out and had his best years with, will resurrect for him here in his NFL career.
Well, and that's kind of a big thing. I mean, just, observing from, watching him twice fully when they played the Cowboys, I guess the other time was Jalen Hurts. But I mean, even still, when they played the Cowboys, it looked to me like maybe Doug Peterson had kind of run out of ideas for Carson Wentz because they kept like making him go to the well. Against the Cowboys in the first game they played, they won the game, but they kept, he kept throwing interceptions and they never even tried to let him run the ball. Frank Reich seems to have a much better rapport with him, right?
Yeah, I think that's a fair statement based on, because, when Reich left and of course comes to Indianapolis, and then you've still got Doug Peterson there. And from an outside perspective, you looked at it at that time and said, well, he still has the same head coach there. And then, clearly whether Reich was kind of a mediator between the two, I don't know what the exact issue was there, but there's no doubt, quarterback play is so much, I think, just based on confidence. And as soon as a guy loses his confidence, I've always felt like when a young player comes into the NFL and comes out right out of the box and has, gets off to a great start, you still have to give it 3 or 4 years to make sure that maintains, because as soon as that doubt starts to creep in, for some guys, like a David Carr, if he can't get his footing early in his career, he's doomed from the get-go. Other guys get out to a great start. Rick Meyer comes to mind. And then all of a sudden, things start to, the head's on a swivel and the clock's always ticking, and they just never regain that confidence. And what now remains to be seen is whether or not Carson Wentz Is he a Rick Meyer, or is he somebody that you think, you know what, now things are stable. He gets back to where he was as a younger player and he gets that confidence. The thing that Indianapolis has done with this move and the way that it's structured is, yeah, they're going to give up. If Carson Wentz turns out to be the player they're hoping he's going to be, it's going to cost them a later first-round pick, but they're worth, of course, making that investment, knowing that they're getting a starting quarterback back. If it doesn't work out and Carson Wentz shows last year's form or can't get out of that rut, then in reality, yeah, from a financial standpoint, dollars-wise, they put some investment in them, but they haven't put a whole lot of capital in them in terms of stock value, because at that point it becomes a 2 and a 3, which I think you can live with if that's what you gave up for that.
Yeah, I'm wondering if people are going to start talking about Chris Ballard now like they used to talk about Ozzie Newsome and what he did in Baltimore, because Ozzie Newsome had that kind of magic touch to where, you know, every move he made seemed to, at least, even the ones that didn't work out, were prudent. It wasn't kind of wild, like crazy, we're giving up all this stuff. Chris Ballard has kind of weathered every storm. Look, Josh McDaniels was going to be the head coach, and then all of a sudden he wasn't. And then he goes and gets Frank Reich, and the team has been much better for getting him. So do the fans have that kind of faith in Chris Ballard in the front office to kind of make these decisions?
There's definitely a romantic relationship between the Colts fan base and really whoever is running. You know, this is a pretty franchise-friendly city, no question about it. I mean, for the most part, because for so long here, Indianapolis fans had Bill Polian as the guy that was in charge, and then Ryan Grigson, and then into Chris Ballard. And Chris Ballard has the benefit. Look, Ryan Grigson made some very good moves. He made some moves that did not work out. And because of the fact that Indianapolis was coming off of the success of Bill Polian, Ryan Grigson became an unpopular and kind of a scapegoat here within town. So whoever was going to replace him, be it fair or not, was going to get a lot more benefit of the doubt. And Chris Ballard has certainly benefited from that, because the reality is, when you look at it over the course of Chris Ballard's tenure, look, the clock realistically is ticking. He gets some time because Andrew Luck, nobody expected Andrew Luck to walk away like that. And so that bought Chris Ballard some benefit of the doubt. But the reality is that, you know, fans want championships. And now that they've got what appears to be their selection, whether he is their franchise quarterback or not remains to be seen. But it appears as though the Colts have selected that he is going to be their franchise quarterback coming off of Andrew Luck in that transition period. So now the results need to be there, because there are no more excuses. So now things really heat up. Yes, Chris Ballard is seen very favorably here in town, but you give it 2 or 3 more years, and if they are not deep into the playoffs or into Super Bowl contention, then I think things get to the point where people are going to wonder what's going on.
So that was offseason move A of shoring up quarterback. Obviously, when Philip Rivers retires and Jacoby Brissett, who they saw and they kind of knew what he was going to be. When they're free agents, you get Carson Wentz, quarterback is solved. Now, does it turn to replacing Anthony Costanzo?
No question about it. You know, the Colts in reality have the same situation that most football teams do. I mean, the Colts as a franchise have been obviously, and fans in Indianapolis have been spoiled, because you went from Peyton Manning into Andrew Luck. And I think people have forgotten, you know, Dallas fans are well aware of this, right? I mean, you go from Roger Staubach and then, you know, through Danny White, but into Troy Aikman. And you forget that most franchises every 3 years are recycling through trying to figure out who their quarterback's going to be. If in fact the Colts have set on the fact that that's going to be Carson Wentz, and let's say for the sake of argument that he does show enough competence at the quarterback position that they are okay there, then they go to the positions that every team seemingly is always trying to find, and that is stability at the left tackle. They can move over, if they wanted to, Quentin Nelson from the right side to the left. I think they'd like to keep Quentin Nelson on the right side and at the guard position, so we'll see what happens there. But left tackle and then pass rush. The Colts have been searching for a pass rush since Robert Mathis, right, Freeney left. They have not had a lot of success finding it. They've seen some flashes from guys, but they really need to get some more stability on the defensive line. But the Colts have a very good running game offensively. That's going to help out Carson Wentz in allowing him. Carson Wentz isn't going to be in a position where he's got to go in there and just throw. And that also at left tackle, I think, buys them a little time to get some, you know, to go through some process to find out who that guy is going to be. They're going to be, I would anticipate, a run-centric offense, and as well an offense that does have some young weapons at the receiver position. But I think, personally, pass rush defensively is going to be their number one. Left tackle's right there with it, they're 1 and 1A.
All right. And the last question on that, is J.J. Watt a possibility for them leaving Houston?
Yeah, that's a possibility, sure. I think you always, when you look at J.J. Watt's numbers, you always have to take a look at that, right? There's no doubt he's been a dynamic player. Depends on the price tag, I think. The Colts, as I mentioned, right now, I think are fourth best in the NFL in terms of their cap space. Does Chris Ballard want to spend that much of it on a guy that's probably entering the twilight of his career where health has been an issue even through his prime? From a numbers standpoint, no question he is intriguing. But from a financial standpoint and what you might get out of it, I personally think Indianapolis would prefer to go with younger guys and groom them throughout, as opposed to, I don't know that they feel like right now they are a piece away from a Super Bowl title defensively. So maybe 2 to 3 years away. And I think that's when you're going to be seeing the end of the J.J. Watt era. So I would think they'd pass on that. Now, I'm not Chris Ballard, and they have the flexibility financially to play around, but I would think they'd probably pass.
Jake Query on Twitter at Jake Query, Query and Schultz, and on the website, queryandschultz.com. You can watch and listen and do their show much like you do ours here on SicEm365 Radio. Jake, thanks a lot. By the way, I love in your Twitter profile that you put in, I don't have tickets. If I had a nickel for every time somebody asked me, I could buy tickets to everything as much as I wanted to.
You know the drill, right? Yeah, you got an undefeated college basketball team. Everybody's asking you, right? And they can't even go to games, you know?
Yeah. Exactly. So yeah, it's been great. It's been weird here, but yeah, I haven't even been to one yet because of the pandemic. So I'm just watching them on TV. So Jake, thanks a lot for doing this. Navigate the weather there and send any tips to people here in Texas, because we don't know what to do from this devil's dandruff from the sky.
Hey, I will tell you this, man. I love Texas. I love the pride that people in Texas have. I've spent a lot of time throughout the great state of Texas. And I know it's a tough time right now, but I know that people there have a great pride and a camaraderie amongst one another, and that's all you need. As long as you've got a belief and you're willing to help out your neighbors, you're going to be all right.
Jake Query with us here on SicEm365 Radio.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries, celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas. Our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trust the doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
Learning to navigate life in the COVID-19 world has been a struggle, and where and how to get tested has been one of the biggest challenges. Impact Health Labs has your answer. If you need mass testing for your office, church, dormitory, or school, Impact Health Labs is who to call. They will come to you, conduct the testing at your location, and have the test back within 24 hours. Most major insurance accepted, meaning your out-of-pocket cost is low. So no more waiting by the phone for days to find out the results. Impact Health Labs was founded by 3 Army licensed and credentialed medical professionals. They believe in accuracy, efficiency, and doing the job right. Call 254-744-6233 to set up your group screening today. Impact Health Labs, on-site, prompt, and accurate, taking COVID-19 head-on. Again, that number is 254-744-6233 or online at impacthealthlabs.com.
Waco's newest gym, Halo Athletic Center, 5725 Bagby Avenue, right behind Region 12 and across the highway from the Texas Marketplace, where motivation, inspiration, and hard work are the driving force. State-of-the-art equipment, indoor and outdoor track, locker rooms, showers, yoga and bar classes by Duality Yoga, bod pod potty composition analysis, and registered dietitians, all under one roof, where we rise above. Come join the Halo Athletic Center and be a part of the change, your change.
Car has the trucks, man. They have the one for you. Crew cab, short or long bed, silver, black or blue. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, he has the truck for you. Carr has the trucks, man. He has the truck you need. If you want the best truck, you want a GMC. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, they have the truck for you.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
Up tempo for Baylor. Ebner straight ahead. Johnson lassoed him from behind, but instead he pushes across for the Bears touchdown.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
All right, here we go. The SicEm365 machine trying to chug through this icy conditions, and we will take you up until 6 o'clock. Pretty loaded the next hour and a half or so. Mack Rhoades will join us, Baylor Director of Athletics. Many things to get to. There are even speculation that not only was he at the bank helping maybe get food packed and get food to student athletes, which is commendable. He wasn't the only one. He might have even gone into some chimneys and gotten some of the bird nest, and put them in safer environments in case people fired up chimneys. He is a man of all things, this Mack Rhoades. He'll join us today at 4:20. I don't hear you, Paul.
There's going to be a lot of dead birds when this.
Hey, are you starting to become one of the guys on the media sessions that forgets to put his mic on?
Yeah, well, I have to. You're the guy on the media session who talks over. You were talking over the break just a second ago. We had a weird situation here. I've got to feed everything through this one thing, so I don't want my mic on during the break. So if I'm, if Woodrow's barking, or right now he's desperately decided that after just being outside that he wants to be back there again. So
I just, we don't want to put you in that category.
No, I don't. I don't want to look. I'll tell you, I'm calling him out by name. I don't want to be Kevin Longquist.
Yeah. There was no need to do that. That'd be nice. Daniel said something about, others who have contributed during this tough time. FC Dallas started a GoFundMe page that has raised over $15,000 for storm relief. So it's not just the big name athletes helping. There's probably stories like this. Oh yeah, there are people who are just neighbors who probably said, hey, we have power, you don't. Do you need to charge your phone? I saw that a little bit. There might be some, hey, do you need to, we have power, we have warm water. Do you want to do one load of laundry or two? So there's a lot of people that are obviously doing what they do to help in many ways. From Stephen, so happy you all have been able to get a show together. Stephen, glad to hear from you as well on the Riverbend text line as well. We'll have Mack Rhoades in a moment. Then also today at 5, Ed Kratz, who covers the Eagles. And then at 5:30, Kramer Robertson, who's on his way to Cardinals training camp down in Jupiter, Florida. I think he's going to spend, isn't that where Tiger lives, Paul? Brooks Koepka, isn't that where all of them live, all the rich golfers?
Yeah, Jupiter's a nice spot.
The Cardinals were they on the west coast of Florida?
They've been several places. They've been in Jupiter now for a little while. They were in Fort Lauderdale for a bit.
Yeah.
They were in, where's your brother live on the East Coast?
Clearwater.
No.
No, he lives in at Vero Beach is where the Astros, I think, have been. It may have been where the Cardinals were. I think they were in Vero Beach for a little bit. The Dodgers were in Vero Beach forever. Yeah.
And then, so they've been around. I think Jupiter built them a new facility. I want to say the Cardinals were in, not Port St. Lucie.
It might have been St. Petersburg.
Yeah, they were in St. Pete. Yeah, they were in St. Pete for a little bit. They were in St. Pete until the Rays, got into town. And then St. Pete doesn't really have anybody but Clearwater and Dunedin and all those other ones do.
Yeah, they've been around. They have been in many places, but now they're in Jupiter, Florida. Here's their history. Now that I asked, I got to get to this. St. Louis, Dallas, Houston. Those are like 1 year at a time. Back, I'm talking about in the earliest of the 1900s. Marlin Springs. Is that what became Marlin? I don't know. Back to Houston, Little Rock. Okay, and the last, since 19. They were in St. Petersburg, Daytona Beach, Cairo, Illinois. They were in St. Petersburg. Oh, my God. Yeah, they were in St. Petersburg from 1946 to 1997. And from 1998 to now, they've been in Jupiter. So they've been in Jupiter longer than I actually thought. And Stephen Vaughn, this is for you being a Cardinals fan. Yeah, I remember doing a show. I did, I used to fly into Tampa, and I would spend a day or two with my mom and dad in the Clearwater Largo area. Then I would drive down to Port Charlotte, cover the Rangers for 4 or 5 days, and then come back and have that weekend buffer to fly back to Texas. And I remember one time doing a show from Al Lang Stadium in, I think that was in Clearwater. I remember doing, I don't know if it was Philadelphia or St. Louis. Maybe they shared the complex, but Jupiter, Florida, they've been there since 98.
I actually think the Rays train in Port Charlotte now.
Do they really?
Yeah, they redid after the hurricane, they redid that park. And
that was when it was available. Now it was you talk about remote, like that's I'm sure busier now, but north of Fort Myers, but that was very remote, but it was so cozy. Really, really enjoyed that park. And at the time that was not a bad park. And then, it became outdated. And then of course they got ruined by the hurricane. So that's a nice place for the Rays to be. That's far enough away to get away from Tampa, but also close enough to where you're right there in also in Tampa. All right, so coming up next, Mack Rhoades, Director of Athletics. He's been busy. Many people have given their time, hours, energy to try to help make sure the Baylor student athletes are taken care of and other students across the board on campus at Baylor. Many things to get to with Mack Rhoades, and he's next on SicEm365 Radio.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneerboys.com.
It's time to be brutally honest with yourself. Look in the mirror or weigh yourself. Do you weigh as much, more, or less than you did before the holidays or a year ago? Why not start the year in better shape than how you ended it and create momentum for 2021 and help strip the negative vibes, tension, pressure, and extra pounds from the crazy of 2020? It's time right now to join Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness. It's so much more than a gym, including world-class tennis courts, lessons available with pros, fitness merchandise, tanning, massage, personal training to get you over the hump. I promise you look better and feel better than ever before. Just need to walk through the front door. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness with personal trainers Christy London and Randall Court. 40-plus group exercise classes, including twice-a-week boot camp, spacious, clean workout room, free weights, Cybex cardio equipment, and no intimidation, a tremendous camaraderie and family atmosphere. So make this your best and healthiest year ever. It's time to react today, not tomorrow. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lake Shore Drive in Waco.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. Our weekly segment with Baylor Director of Athletics, Mack Rhoades, is brought to you by Edward Jones Investments Brokers, Tom Albers, Brad Wilson, Ben Erlinson, and Cam Heathcott. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
All right, here we go. This 4 o'clock hour, joined by Baylor's Director of Athletics, Mack Rhoades, Paul Catalina, David Smoak. Armstrong Sims runs the mothership. Craig will be back again. He's been kind of having some issues with his power as well, but he's back, I think, cozy where he is. Mack Rhoades joins us. So were you flipping burgers? Were you packing food? Were you delivering pizzas? What were you doing with everybody else a couple of days ago?
Oh, I was just trying to lend a helping hand. I was actually a food sorter. So just putting the right snacks in the right bins. And I think for the most part, I didn't mess it up. So I was somewhat useful, not completely, but somewhat.
What was it? Completely just basically, okay, we have people with buildings who have no power. We've got to take care of students on campus. Was it all hands on deck as much as you could possibly be to get the student athletes taken care of?
Yeah, it was a great team effort led by J Buzz, our Juliana, our head nutritionist. She does such an unbelievable job, her and her staff, and they rallied to make sure that our student athletes remained fed, and so the couple days ago, it was whoever was able to get to work, all hands on deck, and created a pretty impressive buffet line of snacks and cold foods and hot foods for all of our student athletes. They were able to bring food home for 2 days. So again, just a great job by our entire staff.
Paul, you're not on.
How much contact right away did you have to get with the student athletes to find out who didn't have power, who didn't have water, who needed to be somewhere warm in all this?
Yeah, our coaches did a great job of reaching out. All of our coaches reaching out to their student athletes, right? And then, that information was funneled to us, and the university as a whole, right, as well, did a great job. Some of our student athletes, for instance, living in university parks, worked to try to find other accommodations, et cetera. So again, university, coaches, just everybody working together to try to do the best we could to, again, take care of our student athletes. And then, we probably had, I'm going to guess at least a third of our staff without power, and, really just trying to make sure and accommodate them and make sure that everybody was healthy and safe. And it was just a great family effort, and continues to be of trying to help others that were without.
How relieved are you that at least you now know men's basketball, the pause is about to end? Hopefully no changes between now and the getting back to normal on Tuesday. And was Oklahoma State one that was very close to happening, or you just feel like the conference, you and OSU decided that game needed to be also postponed?
Yeah, it was, close to happening. What really hurt us was the weather, to be quite frank. And so, returning some of the student athletes to back to competition, right? And some of the health screening, the heart screening, because of weather, those appointments had to be canceled, et cetera. So we were stuck and really couldn't move forward. And so the weather really prevented us from trying to get people back in time for that Oklahoma State game.
Mack, with everything these last 3 weeks have gone on, has anybody given any consideration to what we've asked before about the Big 12 tournament and maybe even modifying it a little bit?
No, we the Big 12 ADs, we met as recent as this past Tuesday, and that was not a topic of discussion in terms of cancellation of it or reformatting it. I think our minds, probably two things. One, just trying to finish the season. How do we finish it, right? And there were more cancellations, obviously, this week, or postponements, I should say, because of weather, right? And then the second part of it was just, again, some of the protocols for the tournament, but nothing's been talked about in terms of cancellation or reformatting.
You tried to give us kind of a quotient formula about minimum requirements of how many games you have to play before things are affected. You're going to have the 3 games scheduled next week: Iowa State, West Virginia, Kansas, and then another week where you could get maybe 1, 2, or 3 games in. With other games being postponed because of weather, does that affect the minimum requirement for you as far as how many games you need to play in men's basketball to be declared the Big 12 champions?
Yeah, I mean, I'm certain it will, somehow affect, the average number of conference games played for everybody, right? And that's the number, right? That's the foundational number, the average number of conference games played by everybody, right? And if you're 3 or less, right, within, right, then there's no consequences. If you're that 4th game, right, for every game starting with that 4th game, then it begins to impact your win-loss percentage. So we feel good that we'll be within the 3. That last week of the season, be interesting to see where we land. I know it won't be any more than 3 games, could be 2, but I think that's further discussion. And I think, the conference office will wait as long as possible in terms of deciding those matchups in that last week. And again, whether or not it's 2 or 3, what would be interesting for us is just the home away balance. And I don't know that we're going to be able to stay true to it, depending upon, conference race, all of those things. Right now we've played 3 at home and 6 on the road. And I'm not quite sure, if we play 6 remaining, again, the 3 upcoming, and then we do indeed play 3 that last week. I don't know that we'll be able to, the conference office will be able to balance that out. So still fluid, still waiting.
Mack, let me ask you this. Have you gotten any type of feedback at all that others in the conference, do they understand and realize what you've been through? Maybe frustration because you can't play some of the games against them, but is there any talk at all from anyone saying that there's no way Baylor needs to play more games? Like, is anyone throwing that out there? Do you get any of that at all? Smoke from people who are complaining about that?
No, I mean, I certainly haven't heard of any of it. I think people understand, right now, when you look at the standings mathematically, and this was stated on the call on Tuesday, mathematically, there's still a slight chance that somebody could catch us, but more than likely not, right? And so people, and when I say people, the athletic directors, they get that, they understand that. I think, as a Big 12 conference, as we finish out these last 2 weeks, right, it's less about trying to catch Baylor, and it's more about putting the conference in the best position to get teams, ready to play in the Big 12 tournament, but ultimately to get teams to be able to advance to the NCAA tournament, at large bid. So how do we do that, in the best, possible way, the fairest manner? And that's really where the focus is. It's not on, hey, we gotta catch Baylor.
Mack, I know that this is not always the case when it comes to big time college athletics, because there is a very much, I'm going to do what's right for me and mine, and damn the torpedoes we've seen in several major instances in sports. But has the pandemic and everything that's gone on, especially now with this weather, are athletic directors around the country able to, when you have a discussion, put themselves in each other's shoes, because you've all kind of had to go through the same thing at the same time?
Yeah, Paul, it's a great question, and I would say that more now than ever, right? And I think it's because of the pandemic. I can just take our conference, for example, and there's no doubt in my mind that the 10 ADs are closer than what they were pre-pandemic. I think the ADs with the conference office are closer than they've ever been before. Again, the pre-pandemic. I think the CEOs, the presidents, chancellors amongst themselves are closer than they've ever been in terms of the conference. So there's a greater collegiality amongst everybody, but we're still all fiercely competitive, and by nature we're going to look out for what's best for Baylor or for whoever you represent, but I think there's this greater understanding of big picture as well, more than ever.
Mack, the dead period was extended yet again to the end of May. It is almost as if this thing may never come back. Is this something that's a power struggle between the Power Fives and the non-fives?
No, not at all. There's no sense of that. I think that, I think realistically, I think people are looking at, if you would have gone into a quiet period beginning April 16th, right? What does that look like given the pandemic? What kind of position are you putting people in, trying to get, unofficial and official visits? And again, I think you could argue both ways. We were certainly prepared to do that. Right now, we're having visits by prospective general students are coming to campus, right, to see if they want to be students at Baylor for the fall semester. So I think we would have been able to accommodate, and we would have been fine. So, it'd be interesting to see where we land, beyond May 31st now that it's been extended to that date, and what June will look like, what camps will look like. How do we do all of that? Now, I'll say this, and I apologize for the long answer, but it's that saying, right? Don't let a pandemic go to waste. And so it's an opportunity, I think, for our industry to really look at the recruiting calendar. How many days do coaches really need to be out, right? You talk to a lot of football coaches in particular, recruiting via Zoom. It's actually allowed them to get to know the prospective student athlete better, deeper, right? Their families in a much closer manner. Now, coaches still need to go out, I believe, and see prospective student athletes perform, in person, see them physically in person perform. But I don't know that the number of days that are allotted, I think they could be reduced. I think it's a quality of life issue for our coaches, where we can keep them at home more than on the road, right? So again, it's a great opportunity for our industry to really rethink and look at the recruiting calendar.
Mack, for prospective student athletes, we've all talked about the transfer portal at length, but the importance of getting like those official on-campus visits is not so much just because look, if you're getting recruited by Alabama, you're probably going to want to play for Nick Saban, but you might get to Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and hate that city if you've never been there before, or all that. How important is it to get back to those kind of things so that kids don't? I mean, you don't want to give anybody more reasons to jump in the transfer portal after a year.
Yeah, Paul, I do think it's important. I think where you might get a little bit concerned is so much of the unofficial and official visits are all about bells and whistles.
Mm-hmm.
And so trying to balance that. And I think that's why you've heard some positive comments from coaches, right? Saying they've really gotten to know the student athlete better, right? By Zoom calls, et cetera. But in fairness to the prospect, right? If I'm a father of a prospect, I'm going to want my daughter or my son to be able to see the school, right? Really see and feel it and experience it. And so I do think they're important. And we need to find a way to make it happen. What's interesting is, and again, thinking about football and even other sports, how many prospects were waiting to verbally commit because they thought they were going to be able to come onto campus, right, beginning April 16th. And so, how does that change for them, right? You begin to see some more verbals now because it was extended all the way to the 31st of May.
Yeah, Smokey, I think your mic cable came loose again.
Got it now?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay. Mac, the practice schedule for men's basketball or when women's basketball or whatever sport has to be in pause. If the player's not positive or did not test positive, is not a part of contact tracing, is a team like, let's say, basketball allowed to do with those who are not isolated? Can they go to the gym and shoot around? Can they practice? Can they actually have coaches in practice? What is the rule with that? If there's 5 or 7 or 8 players that actually can still be okay?
Yeah, for those that are not positive and not in quarantine, right? They can practice. A lot of individual workouts have occurred for those that could do it, right? Now, quite frankly, there weren't a lot of of our student athletes on with men's basketball that could do it because most all were out. So, but you can have those individual workouts. You could have some of the group workouts. When you have a group in quarantine, right? We were able to have that group workout together. So. You have some flexibility. It's still not game like, right? And so you worry. I think about February 23rd against Iowa State and just how winded our kids will be. I think it's going to be really hard for them to be in actual basketball shape, and I do think it's going to take a week or two to really get back to where we were prior to or right after the Texas game.
Did you just say? I'm just because did you say that a lot of them were wiped out?
I mean, we had quite a number of student athletes and staff that actually had the virus. So more than not, and so it was very similar and felt very similar to what happened to football when we had to shut down with football, and we think one false negative and all of a sudden you're in cramped locker room quarters, and it spreads quickly, and we had student athletes and staff. So
okay, so if the chef, I think her last name is Hartman, I could be wrong. If in fact she called you now and said, I need you over here, but you have to help cook a meal, that go to something fast, would it be without cooking? Would it be peanut butter and jelly? Would it be a cheeseburger? what would you, if you were asked to cook something for the student athletes and get it out quickly, what would it be?
Well, I mean, if there was a grill available, like I'm flipping burgers.
Okay.
Right? I can handle that now. So okay. I can do that. That's one of my hidden skills.
Did you at all, when you were helping some of the student athletes who might be at apartments or whatever, did you ever try to help clean out a chimney, anything like that, other than, that we don't know about?
No, not at all. Not at all. And by the way, I do want to say this, that our student athletes are the best. I mean, when they were going through the line and in the snacks and the food, just their gratefulness, the many times that they said thank you to all of the workers there. Again, Juliana Buzzard is a rock star, nutritious, her staff, but their gratefulness to the staff, to the bank staff. It was really, really cool to see. And we've got great young people here.
All right. I'm about to send you a picture that what Paul and I and Craig and Armstrong, we're going to put this in a goodie bag and send a few of these to you for being a part of the show during a week that's been so hectic. So we'll get those over to you. Just don't let Coach Aranda know. And we'll get those to you sometime when the weather and the ice in the streets clear up. Okay.
Right on.
All right. That's Mack Rhoades. Mack, thank you.
Thank you, guys. And just prayers and thoughts with all the people out there, and stay safe and stay warm.
Yep, that's good. Thank you. That's Mack Rhoades, again, Director of Athletics at Baylor. And Paul, I sent him a picture of a Fig Newton, right here.
Yeah.
This is his go-to. There's a kind of a turf war between the football offices and administrative offices on who's in charge of the quota or the budget for Fig Newtons. Mickey just joined us, and he's not going to come until the next segment. Is that right, Paul?
Yeah.
Mickey's going to hear those last 2 or 3 questions and go, man, you guys, you really ask some hard-hitting questions, don't you?
Yeah.
From
Grilling,
from a journalism grad from Missouri. He's going to you guys go straight for the throat.
We do. He missed earlier when we asked him about his favorite warm pair of socks.
Yeah. All right. Coming up next, you might, not yet. If Armstrong's still alive and working at his friend's house, I'm at the condo, Paul's at his house. Mickey Spagnola, what is the Carson Wentz trade? What about the miss after miss after miss among the NFL in the draft from 2009 to 2016? None of those quarterbacks in the first round are with their original teams. The latest with Dak. Mickey Spagnola next on SicEm365 Radio.
Get the vehicle you've been dreaming about at the President's Day event at Allen Samuels. The 2020 Dodge Charger SXT, ranked #1 in initial quality and driver appeal, has special values of $6,170 or 0% for 72 months, plus $3,000 in combo cash. The 2020 Dodge Charger is at the forefront of muscle car design. From the body to the wheels, it continues to impress. Visit the customer award-winning Allen Samuels, located at 201 West Loop 340 in Waco, to see the 2020 Dodge Charger SXT. See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
At Baylor University, students can shine in their own way. Or should we say their own ways? Because there's no limit to the ways Baylor students make the world a brighter place. Whether they're leading a student organization or following a higher calling, getting advice from faculty, or taking part in world-class research, pursuing their dreams, or working toward their dream job, students find their place to shine at Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Don's Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don's Humidor in the Townwood Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries, celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas. Our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trusted doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
Y'all listen up. Let me tell you something about group meals from Rhoades Barbecue. It's got all you need for all the folks you gotta feed, smoked meat, sides, and more. There's everything down to the tablecloth, just like the one that you see at the store. At a bridal shower, it's better than flowers. In a long business meeting, it'll pass the hours. It'll feed all the cousins in a family function. It's better than potluck at a church luncheon. Next time you need to feed 10 or more, call and order a Rhoades group meal.
Next in line. Sliding, throwing, touchdown Dallas! CD Lamb.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with Mickey Spagnola of DallasCowboys.com. Brought to you by the First National Bank of Central Texas, with 5 locations to serve you.
All right, here we go. Rolling out of this 4 o'clock hour, 5 o'clock hour. Ed Kratz, who covers the Eagles, will join us from SI.com at 5. And then my conversation with Cardinals shortstop Kramer Robertson on his way down to Jupiter, Florida. They start training camp here around Arizona and Florida. Mickey Spagnola, DallasCowboys.com. Mickey, go ahead, scold us.
Do I need to go find my Fig Newtons?
I haven't had one of those. I can't remember, but they're so soft though. I mean, I haven't remembered having one of those. Mickey, what does the Carson Wentz trade mean in many ways to the NFC East, to the Cowboys, to NFL, to personnel people? What does it mean?
Well, here's my take on this, and it's been my take on these quarterbacks that are changing teams here over the last couple of weeks. This is why when everybody says, well, why haven't you signed Dak Prescott? Just go sign him. Just go give him what you want. You got to be careful when you make these decisions on quarterbacks, and you got to make sure the salaries fit what your structure is. Because here's the example. Stafford ends up going to LA, right? Detroit ends up with $20 million in dead money. Goff ends up going to Detroit. The Rams end up with like $23.5 million in dead money. And now this, with the impending trade of Carson Wentz, the Eagles are going to end up with $33.5 million in dead money. So when you sign these quarterbacks, you got to sign them to deals that if they don't work out, boy, you better protect yourself. So you just don't go cavalierly into these quarterback deals and say, yeah, just go sign him. Sign him for what he wants. Because there's a huge penalty to divorce a quarterback.
Yeah, I think I'm with you there, Mickey, except for the fact that like the Cowboys have gotten in this like danger zone with Dak that I think is making everybody nervous. But is this a classic Jerry Jones deadline make deals kind of a thing?
Well, no, because it didn't make it last year, right? And they wanted to do it. Mm-hmm. So to me, I think the question also needs to be asked: is this a danger zone for Dak Prescott? Did he just look at what happened last year and say, whoa, what if that injury was a lot worse than what it was? And it was really bad. And I turned my back on a $55 million signing bonus and a $110 million guaranteed contract. And I turned my back on that for a 1-year deal, and I could have suffered very easily a career-ending injury. And I just lost that money, right? So does he want to roll the dice on it again? See, everybody talks about rolling the dice on his performance. What about rolling the dice on your health? Do you want to try that again? Because, boy, if that was me, I want the $55 million in the bank tomorrow.
And then, of course, his agent is involved in this, as you know, and then Dak. But Jerry doesn't let anyone walk that he doesn't want to walk. Even DeMarco Murray or DeMarcus Ware, whoever, he doesn't allow people to leave if he wants to keep them. I can't remember the last time that happened. And maybe DeMarcus Ware was that, but I thought they let him go too.
No, they cut DeMarcus Ware.
Yeah.
Because of not only health issues at the time, but also salary cap. They couldn't afford him. Now, you got to afford your quarterback. And you're right, David. If they want him, they get him done. So, we think back to at the deadline last year, supposedly there was this last minute push by Dak's people to get it done, and it didn't quite work out. Well, we got all this time now. If you were that close then, go in and sign, right? I like the word lately in politics, bipartisan. Mm-hmm. Well, what about a bipartisan negotiation? Everybody says, well, Cowboys, just sign it. Well, Dak, what about you just signing with the Cowboys? Because they weren't exactly cutting him short, offering him a deal that they were offering him. And what everybody needs to remember, and I know you guys are tired of me saying this stuff, but these contracts that the extensions average out to $40 million a year, when you still got 2 years left on your original contract like Deshaun Watson, it ain't $40 million a year. It's a 6-year deal at about $28 million a year. So Mickey, I think they got to get over what the extension is, because okay, I give you a $40 million extension, but you still had 2 years left on your contract, and that drags it down to $28 million a year.
Mickey, how much will this affect? Say if Dak, if they get to the first part of free agency and they haven't gotten the deal done, and they're essentially have to operate under the assumption that he's playing under the franchise tag. Right. How much does that affect what they do with the rest of the roster and restructuring to try to plug some holes that they certainly do have on defense and probably swing tackle? Yeah. And $37.7 million goes into the camp if you have to franchise them again. If you sign them to a long-term deal, I would imagine you could probably reduce the cap charge to 25 million for that first year. So yeah, it would not only does he get his money, but it creates money for the Cowboys. That's why I say both sides have a vested interest in getting this thing done. It's not just the Cowboys. It's Dak too, by the way. That's a lot of money that he could have had in the bank for a year, right? And he passed it up.
But the other part of it is his understanding is he understands the TV deal. Is that right? Isn't that the deal about how long he wants compared to how much the Cowboys want to extend him for? Because if he can time it out when the new TV money comes out.
Well, the new TV money, David's going to come in maybe this year and early as next year.
Okay.
So I think it has to do with them trying to get back into free agency again.
Yeah.
Well, when you're investing in this and you looking at it as a long-term deal, you don't want to say, okay, we've got to go do this again. So it's, I think both sides need to sit down and say, okay, let's get this done and get it behind us. But certainly, Paul, it sure would help if they got it done before the start of free agency. Although, the salary cap's going down, and it's not like the Cowboys are going to have all this extra money to go out there exploring to sign free agents. And the thing that they better not do is not start signing names and nibbling, right? Because all that backfired last year. Mm-hmm. Gerald McCoy, 32 years old, got hurt, right? Clinton Dix couldn't even hold the starting jobs through training camp. Dontari Poe should have never made the team, let alone start as many games as he did, doing nothing out there. And my line on him was, it's okay to kneel for the national anthem, but don't be kneeling when you're supposed to be playing ball.
Yeah, Nikki, he was bad. I would say also free agency wise for people who want them to go get a big free agent. They need to build, especially on defense, through the draft again and continue to do that. They need on defense. They don't need a big name like Patrick Peterson or JJ Watt. They need some stopgaps before they can draft some guys, don't they? Wouldn't I just say stop?
Well, let me point this out also about this defense. They've already made, to me, the biggest move they can make. They brought in a new defensive coordinator, right?
Yeah.
You know how many points they gave up the season before 2019? They averaged 20 points a game. And basically it was the same defense, right? They lost 4 starters. Number one, everybody didn't want to pay Byron Jones, right? Because he doesn't get interceptions. So they lost the starting corner, but they replaced him with Trayvon Diggs. Not the same player, not the same experience. They lost Malik Collins, who I just looked at, and he hardly had any stats for the Raiders. They lost Robert Quinn, who went to the Bears and got 2 sacks this year. And then Jeff Heath, who, by the way, wasn't a starter for the Raiders, had 3 starts, but he had 3 interceptions, which would have tied him for the league. And everybody wanted to blame Jeff Heath for all the defensive problems they had. So this team in 2019 and 2020 basically was sort of the same personnel, right? Except for what? Defensive staff. And they gave up more points than any other team in Cowboys history. They gave up more yards than only one other team in Cowboys history. So to me, I don't know that the personnel is bad as everybody thinks it was, right? Can DeMarcus Lawrence play more than 60% of the snaps?
Yeah.
I know he was nicked up, but I think he can play more. Jalen Smith shouldn't be a weak side linebacker. He's out of position there. He can't play that spot. They lost Tristan Hill, who was basically the best defensive tackle they had going. And then Neville Gallimore came on and played awfully well. So do they need a defensive tackle of some sort? Yeah, sure. Do they need another linebacker? Yeah, give me that guy from Penn State. Do they need help in the secondary? Yeah, depending on what happens in free agency. So, and you can fill these holes, but I don't think it's the disaster that everybody's making it out to be. I just think that if you look at a lot of the problems they had, it was disorganization and missed assignments.
Well, that's a nightmare. That's
right?
Kind of like,
yeah,
that's a nightmare.
Remember when Rob Ryan was here and they always would have not enough guys on the field or too many guys on the field, or it was running like a fire drill. And how did that work out? So I think Dan Quinn will go a long ways to fixing a lot of what their ills were on defense if they can add to some personnel.
In my opinion, and I could be wrong statistically, and you could cut a hole, blow a hole through this. Ed Kratz of the Philadelphia covers Philadelphia will join us in the next segment. The thing to me that Jeff Heath and the safeties they had this year, they both obviously gave up plays, but the difference is Jeff Heath made plays, right? Wilson got credit for a couple of collisions, made some nice, forced the run a couple of times, but he missed it. But Jeff Heath somehow, for a guy that was not very good, when there was a big play or a pick or a tip or something like that, it seemed like maybe not enough, but more than they ever did this past year, he made a play.
And he was the pet cat, right? Everybody wanted to make fun of him. Everybody wanted to pick on Jeff Heath. He can't do this. He can't do that. He did a lot for this team. Unfortunately, again, when you're short on salary cap money, that type, and he didn't sign an exorbitant thing with the Raiders, but it was enough that they said, no, we can't do that. Yeah. No, I thought Donovan Wilson came on, it was only his first year to really play that much. He didn't play hardly his rookie year. He was a special teams guy. So at one safety, I thought he did a really nice job. And then at the other safety, everybody gets down on Xavier Woods, Well, they were playing him in the box. They were playing a little 215-pound safety as the strong side linebacker. Who does that? Because they refuse to play anything but nickel defense, even when the other team's out there with 2 tight ends, 2 wide receivers, and they basically got this, them old signs out there at the old restaurants that would go EAT, eat, Well, here it is, RUN, 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 and you're still in nickel defense.
It sounds like you're describing the Browns game.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my God. Yeah.
270, 68 yards or 300, whatever the heck it was. But so maybe a little bit more organized defensively. Dan Quinn with a more true 4-3 defense when the team says we're going to run. Well, let me put a strong side linebacker on the field instead of poor Xavier Woods lining up as the strong side linebacker.
Mickey, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Hope you're doing warm.
I like to be able to see you guys. This is good.
I know. It's great. Great to see you.
We can do this every week if you want to.
We're going to do this now. You might as well. You better get this ready in your office if you ever get back to the office. I like it. It's good to see you, my man.
Well, I was back in the office until the weather hit.
Yeah, I know.
And it was number one, I can't get there. Number two, they had rolling blackouts going on. So,
all right, man. Thank you so much. Mickey
see you next week.
With us on Thursdays. With us from DallasCowboys.com. Coming up next, Ed Kratz. He covers the Eagles. His thoughts from SI.com on Carson Wentz. What's next for the Eagles? What are options other than Jalen Hurts? And much more. Then Kramer Robertson of the St. Louis Cardinals. Shortstop will join us at 5:30. SicEm365 Radio.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financials, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like our free First mobile app, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. That's the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion. And I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
Wentz keeps it, looking, firing, end zone, and he's got a touchdown. That time it's the other tight end, Zach Ertz.
The 5 o'clock hour is brought to you by Edward Jones and financial advisor Cam Heathcott. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
All right, this is like something here. This is the Carson Wentz trade. There's all sorts of what the Eagles did, what the Colts get, what the Eagles get, all of that. And when we have Eagles news and we need to break it down, we go to edkratzsi.com, Eagle Maven. He's the guy who is our go-to guy. What's the reaction today in Philadelphia, Ed? And great, by the way, good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you guys. First, let me just send out my thoughts to everyone in Texas. And I know, you guys are struggling with the weather down there. My thoughts are all with everybody out there in the state of Texas. I have a couple friends in Austin I haven't heard from in a couple days. So, I hope all is well. I hope you guys all get through this.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Carson Wentz, maybe he'll keep you guys warm for a couple days here. But big news, obviously, the former second overall pick in 2016 gets traded just 19 days after the first overall pick in 2016 gets dealt. And it's kind of a shock to Eagles fans still, I think, even though this was kind of something they saw coming, weeks ago. This irreconcilable differences between Carson and the front office. It's still kind of shocking that it's come to this, that they had to part ways with the player that they thought was going to be the face of their franchise for at least a decade. Didn't last that long, 5 years, and he's gone already.
And obviously you mentioned the front office, but did the first thing that happened was, did Doug Peterson run out of things to do with Carson Wentz? Did they just clash?
Well, I think, Doug was made to look like the bad guy in this, and that was initially believed to be the reason Doug was fired. But then, I had a couple people tell me that Doug wanted Carson to be his quarterback in 2021, but it was the Eagles front office that wanted to move on from Carson, and Carson knew that. And I think it all came into play when they decided to take Jalen Hurts with the 53rd overall pick just last April. But I think Doug and Carson, maybe they didn't always see eye to eye and they butted heads. But, look, every coach-player relationship's not going to be, all, roses and sunshine. It's there's going to be challenging times during a relationship. And they had some of that. But I don't think it was irreconcilable. The more we learn about it, it was really the relationship Carson had with the front office and the mistrust that he had with that front office. And he just didn't see a long-term future in Philadelphia.
So now what? Jalen Hurts played a little bit at the end. Obviously, there was that controversy of whether or not he should have played longer against Washington. That may have also led to, Peterson. That was like the final nail in the coffin. But so what now? What do they have to draft somebody? Do they go out to the free agent market? A combination of all the above? What?
Well, that's the next shoe that's going to drop. First, though, I think Zach Ertz is probably going to get traded next. I hear there's some conversation heating up with, the Seattle Seahawks and even the San Diego Chargers might be gearing up a run for Zach Ertz. Learned that today. But yeah, what's next at the quarterback spot? Hurts is the only quarterback on the roster right now. So clearly they have to go out and get at least two more, maybe a third one, just kind of a camp arm. They have the 6th pick in the draft. They could go in that direction, but the fan base isn't real happy with Howie making that pick. I mean, look, they already struck out with Carson. I mean, you could say Carson helped them win that Super Bowl in 2017 because he was the one that had that team sitting at 11-2 when he tore the 2 ligaments in his knee. But they need somebody obviously behind Hurts. And will it be that 6th player? It's interesting because one of the candidates that is being linked now to Philadelphia is Trey Lance, the quarterback from North Dakota State, where Carson Wentz just came from. But they need to do something. I would be frankly surprised if they went with the quarterback at the 6th pick. This is a roster that needs answers at many different positions. And I think you could go maybe, in a 2nd round situation or even a 3rd round and find somebody maybe like Kellen Mond from Texas A&M or Kyle Trask at the University of Florida. I was told that they like KJ Costello, the kid from Mississippi State. Maybe you get him on the 2nd day. They have 2 picks now in the 3rd round. But right now, my sources have told me that they're ready to go with Jalen Hurts as a starter in 2021. So
Don't they need, you mentioned the other things, like since the first big swing at quarterback didn't work out, don't they need to just build the rest of the roster? Because the 2017 Super Bowl team feels like it's longer than 3-4 years ago, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It feels, like decades ago, really. But there are still some pieces left. And another shoe that could drop is Jason Kelsey, one of those pieces from the Super Bowl. Terrific all-pro player, started 105 straight games. He could elect to retire. I wrote something that maybe the Eagles should try to do him a favor and trade him to the Chiefs. Let him go play with Travis Kelsey and try to win a Super Bowl ring in the twilight of his career, because I don't think the Eagles are going to be in that position to do that, at least in 2021, probably 2022 as well. But a lot could depend on the development of Jalen Hurts. So, we'll see what happens in that situation. I will say that, the new staff they brought in, Nick Sirianni and his crew, one of the quarterback coaches, Brian Johnson, who worked with Dak Prescott at Mississippi State and worked with Kyle Trask at the University of Florida. He's known Jalen Hurts since he was 4. He knows his father since he was 4 when they were playing football in Houston together. So it's a good relationship. I think Johnson will do a very good job with Hurts. So I think the development of Hurts will begin. It's just how long it's going to take for him to click and for, like you said, Paul, to have some of these other pieces that they need to fill in place. And they do have a lot of pieces, especially in my opinion, on the defense. They need to find a couple playmakers on that side of the ball.
I know Carson Wentz was a good guy. I know Nick Foles is a good guy. I know other quarterbacks that Philadelphia's had, but it's about production. But I'll tell you this right now, just from afar, but also on a couple of occasions getting to know Jalen Hurts, because he was a part of the Earl Campbell Tyler Rose Award. And he showed up, 2 days after they had just lost to Clemson in a national championship game when he could have no-showed like a lot of people would. I love the guy. I say that. I like who he is. I know that doesn't mean he's a better quarterback or he doesn't throw the ball well better. I mean, it's not a bad guy to put your hat on, especially if you could find an insurance policy, because he truly sees to be a one-of-a-kind kid.
Well, I know the Eagles love him, and that's why they took him 53rd overall. Howie Roseman, the general manager, talked about, the 2012 draft when they kind of let Russell Wilson linger a little bit too long. And then the Seattle Seahawks drafted Wilson and the Eagles took Nick Foles 15 picks later. But he talked about Jalen Hurts being that kind of prospect. They didn't want to miss out on another Russell Wilson situation. So I know the Eagles love the kid. I know his teammates. You talk to some of his teammates, Jalen Reagor, Miles Sanders, and some of those other rookie receivers. They love the guy. They think he's a terrific leader. He's a fun guy to be around. Of course, I've never met him in person. I met him at the Combine briefly last year, but everything was virtual this year, so we weren't in the locker room. We didn't get to really go face-to-face with the players. I can't wait to meet the guy, but what I've seen from him on Zoom calls, he's very guarded in his press conferences, but his teammates rave about him.
Well, that's because he comes from the Nick Saban school of press conferences, right, Paul?
Yeah. Oh, look, I'll tell you, just when he was at Oklahoma, and I'd get fired up just listening to him, just because he was serious. Just this is what it's about. Oh, hey, don't you think this is great? We got into the game next week. That's Jalen Hurts. He is not going to suffer accolades. He doesn't care. Just who's the next team we're playing.
Yeah. I would just like to see his interactions inside that locker room, how he relates to his teammates. I've seen Carson over the last 5 years, and I'll say this about Carson. He was rather aloof. When we were in the locker room for those 45 minutes you're allowed in each day with his teammates, didn't see a whole lot of interaction with his teammates. Whereas some of the other quarterbacks, I've seen that. Obviously, Nick Foles, Mike Vick, when he was in Philadelphia, loved to hang around with his teammates and goof off. I would like to see what Hurts is like inside that locker room, and I hope we get that chance, sometime this spring, summer, whenever it might be.
I bet there's a business-like, but yet sometimes playful part of him that will be interesting. Ed, now that they've done this, I asked you about the quarterback. Where are they, Philadelphia? This division, as you know, was awful. It was like the last team that didn't throw up on themselves. And Washington got a little bit better. Their defense was really good. Where is Philadelphia? What are expectations in a division that does look to be so winnable even now?
Yeah, expectations I think aren't real high, even in a bad division, just because of the holes, because you don't know what Jalen Hurts is going to be. We had the 4-game sample last year. So I don't think expectations are high, but you do take a look around this division. Washington's defense is the real deal, no doubt. They need a quarterback, so what are they going to do? I think they're sitting at pick 19, kind of no man's land. I don't know what's going to be available to them. There are some quarterbacks out there that are supposedly on the trade market. Maybe, they make a play for one of them. But to me, the NFC East is a division that hasn't had a back-to-back winner since 04-05, I think, or 03-04, actually, when the Eagles did it. So this division is so topsy-turvy. And to me, if you look at the Cowboys and Dak Prescott comes back, whether it's a franchise tag or on a long-term deal, and you hope he doesn't get away, that offense, man, that Dallas offense is just deadly. They can put up points in bunches. They need to address the defense, and I think they will. But to me, they're right now, I think the expectation is that the Cowboys, here we are on February 18th, they're probably the front runner to win that division.
How has Howie Roseman withstood? I mean, he's had topsy-turvy time there too, but how has he withstood all the storm? And they've not kind of gone in a different direction from him.
Yeah, he's got a good suit of Teflon, is what Howie Roseman has. Some Italian designer made him a good suit of Teflon, I think, because stuff just slides right off of him. He's gotten no blame whatsoever for how this team, really, you mentioned earlier, 3 years ago, just won a Super Bowl, and it's been kind of a steady regression since. So, he's survived a couple coaching changes now. He survived the Chip Kelly debacle. He survived the Doug Peterson ouster, and he's still here. They swung and missed on Carson Wentz in one regard. He should have been here longer. They gave him a $128 million contract extension less than 2 years ago. That's on Howie, but yet Howie, the owner, Jeffrey Lurie, does not really hold him accountable. They have kind of like this father and son relationship. Howie Roseman's been a part of this organization since 2000, came on board in his early 20s, and has grown through the years within the organization. And now I think Jeffrey's a little hesitant to kind of hold his feet to the fire, if you will, and hold him accountable. Now, he did take some of his power away in 2015 when he made Chip Kelly the general manager. That didn't go over well. So now Howie's back in charge, and we'll see. I mean, if Carson goes to Indianapolis and his career takes off again and becomes the quarterback that we saw for 13 games in 2017, and Jalen Hurts doesn't become the player they want, I don't know how Howie would survive that.
That would be the daily double. That would be the that would come back to haunt him. Ed, how are you doing, man? Everything good? I know it's been a weird year. You're talking about virtual and all that, and I mean, what we're having here for the week is what you guys might have week after week after week, except we're just not prepared for it, and neither is the equipment or the infrastructure.
Yeah, man, I really feel for everyone down there in Texas. Like I said, I absolutely do. I'm hoping to hear from my friends in Austin here soon. But hopefully they're conserving their battery on their phones and their laptops, whatever. But we had about a half a foot of snow here. I'm not complaining. We didn't have any snow in the Philadelphia area last year. This year we've gotten hit pretty hard, probably about 2 feet in some areas, over 2 feet. But look, I love all four seasons. That's why I live in Philadelphia and not Florida. Give me some snow. People I know are tired of it, but I don't care. Let it snow. It's supposed to snow here in February.
Thank you, Ed. Appreciate it. It is. You're right. I can't believe it didn't snow one year. That's crazy. Hey, thanks for your time, man. Have a great weekend or week, the rest of the week and weekend as well. We appreciate you.
Thanks, fellas. Be safe.
All right. That's Ed Kratz, SI.com. He is all over the Eagles. We appreciate his time. Coming up next, the Dodgers are loaded up in baseball, and the bookies just put out, Vegas just put out the win total, which is a record-breaking win total that is crazy high. And We'll go over where they are expected or how many wins they're expected to have, the top 2 or 3 teams, where the Astros or even the Rangers. Paul, without looking, where do you think the Rangers would be?
75.
69.5, I'll tell you that. The Astros are
85.
88. There are 5 teams at 90 and above. We'll tell you who those are and how high they went with the Dodgers, which is a crazy.
Are the Red Sox at 1?
The Red Sox
1.
are,
Plus minus they'll win a game.
Oh, stop it.
1.
They'll be under 500. You know, Mookie Betts and his team, they're really good. That Dodgers team, they're pretty good.
You send the best player in baseball, not named Mike Trout, for nothing, then yeah.
Yeah. All right, when we come back, we'll have that. Also, Kramer Robertson, as he's head of the training camp in Jupiter, Florida for the Cardinals. They have split camps, but he's going to the one with the big boys. And, you know, his career was on a nice little path before COVID hit last, March. And he even said this to me. He was moving up the ladder. Now, whether or not he ever gets to the next level, I think he would have been brought up a little bit at some point, especially maybe at the end of the year, if not earlier. And then Rudy Gobert tests positive. NBA shuts down. Big 12 tournament, everything gone. And so was minor league baseball. We'll have him today at around 5:30. Get back to the text line, 254-339-1122, SicEm365 Radio.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneerboys.com.
With more than 160,000 alumni worldwide and counting, the Baylor family is growing. And through the university's expanded Baylor alumni program, the family is growing closer. With hundreds of local volunteers planning events in cities and towns around the country, you can gather with fellow Bears no matter where you are. So get connected, get something started, get involved, and make plans to get together with Baylor alumni. Visit us at baylor.edu/alumni.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and you know, I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Car has the trucks, man. They have the one for you. Crew cab, short or long bed, silver, black or blue. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, he has the truck for you. Carr has the trucks, man, he has the truck you need. If you want the best truck, you want a GMC. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, they have the truck for you.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
The SicEm365 Radio app is sponsored by Alan Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat in Waco. Your friend in the car business at Loop 340 and east of 84. Come by. Let's be friends.
There we go. Got me. Here we are. There. Boom. Okay. So how are we do, and I know Zoom is now like picking up your cell phone, or Zoom's like walking out the door or starting your car. And a year ago at this time, I'd never heard of it. Never had heard of it. And so how are we doing this? Armstrong's in the basement, or he's been relegated to the garage of his best friend, who's demoted him to where he is because he doesn't have internet, right? And I'm being serious. Paul, where you live, I'm where I live. How is this happening? And we're putting this up on like Sirius XM and YouTube and Periscope and everything else, right?
Yes. So what we're able to do now that I don't have to pull all the bandwidth at my house, because, and again, I probably have it now, but a couple of days ago I didn't, is that we are on video. So we have we use what's called Restream. And if you send it a video feed, it will send it to all the different things. So whether it's Facebook Live or Periscope or YouTube or whatever, it sends it to all that stuff. And so this Zoom call is connected to Restream, and we are sending that out over all of the app. And then we have a different apparatus that connects to the app. And so
I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing what's going on here. What am I doing wrong? I'm on the app. Well, that's not good. It says video. I'm trying to really I want to make sure we're like anyone listening to us or watching us says video file cannot be played. Are we out? Are we off the air?
No, we're not off the air.
We're not off the air. We're not off the air.
We're definitely not off the air.
All right. Well, what?
Sometimes that's just about you, Smokey. Or
there's a commercial playing now, a Spectrum commercial. That's ironic since
We're-
our carrier at 101 Elm is not them. Why are they playing?
Yeah.
Where are you trying to view it on?
On my app. Now it's the video file. See?
Yeah.
It shows that it's not there.
But I just checked the feed. We're feeding video, so.
Let me see.
All right. Armstrong, are we on the air?
We are on the air, yes.
Yes, we are on the air.
I'm getting a bunch of these commercials and stuff. I'm not sure about. Okay. All right. Well, that's good. It says live streaming up in the corner. Ed Kratz is cool. Wouldn't he be a good guy to go have a beer and some appetizers, some wings and pizza with?
If we ever have to go to Philly for any reason, he's the first person I'm calling.
Yeah, no question. Yeah, absolutely. By the way, Armstrong, there is from Steven, tell Armstrong I'm praying for him.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Steven.
Yeah. Steven he's been, I think of all of the listeners, he's in the top 5 of the one who's very concerned about us. All right, now, baseball.
Is that a dead end sign behind you, Armstrong, by the way?
Oh, I thought it was mine.
It is. Dead end and then a Christmas tree farm sign. Well.
Did you move to a different room?
I did. I moved back to the living room because no one was in here, so I reclaimed it.
Good. I'm glad they finally got out of your way. All right, now, so the Major League Baseball odds makers, the Dodgers are causing the odds makers to post numbers that the betting market has not seen since the Yankees dynasties that started in the mid to late 90s. The 1999 Yankees had a 104.5 season win total put up by Caesars Sportsbook. And that's the highest over the last 32 years. The Dodgers now, Paul, with all they've accumulated with the pitching staff that's 8 starters deep and all quality, 104.5 wins. There's no way I would bet. I might just go against that.
Yeah, that's tough to even with them. I mean, like even with their staff and their loaded roster. Yeah, I don't know. And that's tough to do.
It's one setback of a position player. They could overcome a setback in a pitcher or two, but that's winning two out of three games.
They're going to play the Padres 18 times. The Padres are good, man.
The Padres are fourth on this list.
Yeah. The Padres just gave Fernando Tatis Jr. $340 million.
Yeah, I saw that. I was talking to Craig about that last night. He's played one full year, right?
Yeah.
He's really good. His dad was surely a prospect that hit and miss. 14 years, $340 million. He's played 1 year in baseball. Is he that good?
Yeah, he's I don't know. He's pretty good. I mean, he's really good. I don't know. I mean, maybe 1 year, but that's a lot to give up. I guess it gives you your franchise cornerstone forever. And they've got Manny Machado there, who's still a pretty young guy in his prime. I think this, every time this happens, I feel bad for my dad that I was not able to be a $340 million athlete.
Yeah. You should be ashamed of yourself.
But Fernando Tatis, his father, hit 2 grand slams in an inning.
I know he did. But that he kind of Fernando Tatis, I don't have the numbers in front of me, and I'm trying not to be disrespectful to him, but he kind of reminded me of the early, and he was even probably much more, I don't know. He and Rougned Odor were both like, these next up and coming guys. Of course, teams have that all the time.
But the Rangers kind of had a thing at third base, and he was a really good defensive player at third base. But they had this thing where their third baseman would come in and they had tons of pop, but they could not hit for average, whether it was Dean Palmer or Fernando Tatis or Hank Blaylock, like right in a row. Tons of pop, but did you want to hit more than 230? Wasn't going to happen.
Well, and that's after they had Buddy Bell, and of course that's way back in the late 70s, early 80s, who's Gold Glove every single year he was playing. And then at bookend, of course, they had a Beltre, who's maybe as good a third baseman, fielding third baseman ever. I know there's others in the conversation, Schmidt, Brooks Robinson, among others. But yeah, Fernando Tatis was there just a couple of years. He was drafted by the Rangers, and he went on to play like 60 games his rookie year, and then was traded to the Cardinals, along with Darren Oliver, Mark Little, for Royce Clayton and Todd Stottlemyre, which was a pretty good trade, I think, for the Rangers. Of course, it didn't work out well for either team. I don't know what the Cardinals may have done.
But Stottlemyre came in that playoff run. He helped them in that playoff run down the stretch. And he was, I remember.
Because in 99, the 96, 98, and 99 Rangers were really pretty potent. They just didn't have a lot of pitching. And you're right, Stottlemyre helped them out with that a little bit.
Yeah, Stottlemyre, I remember, because he was a rental for sure. Royce Clayton played for a couple years, but Stottlemyre was a rental. And I remember one time Stottlemyre I don't know if it was a playoff game or like one down the stretch, where, I mean, I remember him coming off the mound after striking out the side and like fist pumping, and then like his energy. And I was like, well, there you go. That's why you go get Todd Stottlemyre, because he can shoot that jolt into the clubhouse. Now, unfortunately for the Rangers in those years, the damn Yankees existed.
Yeah. So, the team that I just mentioned had the highest win total before the year. Yeah.
The Rangers, and even the teams that went, I would say that player for player were not as good as those 90s teams. The difference between the Rangers getting to the World Series when they did in 2010, 2011 was that there was not the Yankees. That wasn't in their way, but the Yankees were there all the time. So
now, here's one thing about Tatis. When he hit those 2 grand slams, that was with the Cardinals. And here's such a Rangers thing to happen. Now, eventually, again, as you mentioned a decade ago, the Rangers were fantastic, and it will still break my heart forever. Stephen Vaughn, I hate you, because the Cardinals in the game 6 and all that with Nelson Cruz. But he gets traded to the Cardinals in a pickup for the Rangers that helped them in the playoffs in 99. And then, of course, they didn't go back again, I don't think, until probably maybe 2010 when they went to the World Series. There might have been one team in between all that, because then they went into the Alex Rodriguez run of hell. But his best year, Tatis's best year, was the year after the Rangers traded him. 34 home runs, 107 runs batted in, and 21 stolen bases, and hit 298.
Yeah.
The story of your life, the story of the Rangers. No, okay, here are the odds. Not all 30 teams, but we'll get to it. LA, the Dodgers, 104.5 wins. Next, the Yankees at 97. Braves and Padres. You mentioned the Padres. The Braves coming off a good run last year, 92. White Sox, they've loaded up. We've discussed that, 90.5 wins. And then Twins, Mets, Rays, A's, Astros, and Cardinals in a big clump of 88, 89. The Rangers, 69.5. The worst, Pittsburgh at 58, right above them, Colorado at 62.5. Red Sox are at 77 wins.
Well, look, I'll take it.
69. Like I'm pretty good about predicting the Rangers. I think maybe one time in that stretch, even when they were really good, I don't think I missed them by much. But 69, that means if you could say 70 and 92, God, that's going to be so hard to watch. Oh,
yeah.
If I just see some hope, though, if I see this young kid that Jared Sandler was talking about in Tavares, if I see just some hope, that's all I want to see. I can handle a team that's not winning if there's young, youthful enthusiasm and maybe a little talent and hope. I can handle that.
Yeah, I do. I was just looking at the White Sox roster, and it's pretty loaded. I mean, their rotation is Lance Lynn, Dallas Keuchel, and Lucas Giolito at the top. That's really good. And a bunch of young guys, Dylan Cease and Michael Kepich, looking good. So that, I want to see, like, that's what I want to see from the Rangers. I just want to see from the Red Sox. Like, I just want to see that, like, what you're doing to tear down what you had has a plan.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I mean, like, look, if you're going to tear it down, like, okay, that's fine. I get it. You sometimes have to do things. I'm not the one who's paying all that money, but, like, please, like, tell, like, if you're the Rangers, you trade away Lance Lynn, make sure what you got for Lance Lynn is worth it. Make sure that, that you made good decisions all the way down the line. That, look, not trading Mike Minor when you could have was the right decision instead of getting something for him. Like, just I guess they did trade him, but I mean, like, maybe not trading him at the pinnacle.
So tonight, the Big 12 basketball, we'll have Kramer Robertson in a moment. Big 12 basketball is supposed to be tonight. Texas Tech at TCU, Texas at Oklahoma, West Virginia at Baylor. That's a COVID postponement. Texas at Iowa State was another one of the original. So those games are all postponed. Saturday, for now, there are 4 games that are still scheduled. The one that's not, Oklahoma State against Baylor, which would have been in Waco as well. Texas Tech at Kansas. That's somewhat interesting with Kansas now creeping up to 10-5. West Virginia at Texas. There's a couple of more of the upper level of the Big 12. Kansas State, TCU, Oklahoma plays at Iowa State. You would think that they'd be able to handle that and increase where they are. Man, it is nuts. It is nuts that the Baylor at 9-0. If this was baseball and you had games, wins and loss in games behind, and it's true, this would be the case. Baylor at 9-0. Even with a 5-game lead in the loss column, because Kansas is 10-5, their lead would be 2.5 games, which is, if you looked at it in baseball terms.
Yeah.
Right? No, it'd be 2 games. It would be 2 games because Kansas has a half game up on you in the win column.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, they're still, I mean, you heard it from Mack Rhoades. You heard it. I mean, like, it's not about catching Baylor anymore. Like that, like, just let's accept it and move on, especially if they play 3 games or 4 games, then they're the conference champs.
Yeah, they are. And he said it again. It's that little 3-game bubble within the league average. So if you get to 13 games and the league average ends up being 16, you're in good shape. I mean, and again, you got to win your games. When you come back, you got to win. It's not going to be like Iowa State. With all due respect to Iowa State, Kansas State, you're pretty fortunate. You could have come back and played like at West Virginia, or home against, even though they beat Tech in Lubbock. It worked out for who they get to play to perhaps get their legs. Mack even said it would take a week or 2 to get their basketball legs underneath of them.
Good thing the team's deep.
Huh?
Good thing the team is deep.
Well, one of the other things that he said, and I did ask him, I followed up on that, and I wish I did write down the quote, is I said, wait a minute. He said most of the guys got wiped out. He had staff wiped out too. He said, more than not, both players and coaches, more than not, which means if you have 12, 13 players on your roster and you have coaches, of course, you have a ton of coaches. Golly.
Well, if it's more than not, then it's at least 7.
Yeah, you would think it's more than 7 players.
And guys already had it.
Yeah.
So then, there's 3 guys. There's 3 guys who are, and we don't know who they are, but 3 guys who would technically in the clear, meaning more than not. And that could just mean 1 guy.
Yeah. More than not means above 50% of your roster. Yeah. And also, of course, he's including coaches as well. That kind of took my breath away when I heard that. And so they're having, and I've kind of got the impression, as you know, there's nobody when we've been able to ask and need or want or the access to Baylor, David K, Kyle Robarts, obviously with what they've done with basketball and of course with Taylor Bryan in football and all the others. Like I reached out as well earlier to Max about baseball. Zach about baseball. It wasn't the time. Max when we had Charlie Broom on. But those guys are incredible at giving us access. And you kind of got that feeling about midweek. Men's basketball is not only on pause, they're on pause. Like they are trying to get healthy. They're trying to get better, trying to get well. And so good luck with all that. When we come back, Kramer Robertson, former Midway star, what a hell of a run in 2011 as a quarterback at Midway on the team that lost to Baker Mayfield and Lake Travis 22-7 at AT&T Stadium. He's headed to Florida. He's going to drive about halfway and then head to Jupiter, Florida. He'll have COVID protocol. Remember, Paul, he got it back in the Christmas holidays because a friend came to see him. The next day after the friend left, he got it. So then guess who else got it?
Kim Mulkey.
Yeah, and a lot of the family. He even said to me that his grandmother got it. So Kramer Robertson, on what he's been dealing with, how much healthier is he? He has not played in a competitive game, if you want to think about this, a lot of minor league guys, since 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Because all of last year's minor league schedule was wiped out, and a lot of spring training, they had gotten in some of it before that middle of March when Rudy Gobert said, well, I have it too. And then, of course, all hell broke loose. We'll come back with Kramer, Paul Catalina, Armstrong Sims, SicEm365 Radio.
During the President's Day event, Allen Samuels has special pricing on a new 2021 Jeep Grand Cherokee Limited with values up to $3,250 or 0% for 72 months, plus $1,000 in combo cash. Or a 2021 Jeep Cherokee. The new Latitude Plus has up to $6,000 in total values or 0% interest for 72 months and $1,250 in combo cash. Allen Samuels award-winning customer service. The best place to find your next SUV. Located at 201 West Loop 340. Allen Samuels is your friend in the car business. See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
Learning Learning to navigate life in the COVID-19 world has been a struggle, and where and how to get tested has been one of the biggest challenges. Impact Health Labs has your answer. If you need mass testing for your office, church, dormitory, or school, Impact Health Labs is who to call. They will come to you, conduct the testing at your location, and have the test back within 24 hours. Most major insurance accepted, meaning your out-of-pocket cost is low. So no more waiting by the phone for days to find out the results. Impact Health Labs was founded by 3 Army licensed and credentialed medical professionals. They believe in accuracy, efficiency, and doing the job right. Call 254-744-6233 to set up your group screening today. Impact Health Labs, on-site, prompt, and accurate, taking COVID-19 head-on. Again, that number is 254-744-6233 or online at impacthealthlabs.com.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
In Texas, there's pea-size hail and baseball-size hail. Guess which one hit our house? We didn't even know where to begin, but we called our Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent, and he was so reassuring. He knew exactly what to do to get our house back into shape and our lives back to normal. Now, we're even more thankful for the roof over our heads.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. Are you a SicEm365 super fan? Then try out our premium subscriptions at SicEm365.com.
You know him. We all do. Kramer Robertson of the St. Louis Cardinals. Of course, former Midway star and now a part of Major League Baseball. What a story this is. Kramer's on his way down to be a part of the St. Louis Cardinals Major League camp in Jupiter, Florida. Kramer, how much are you biting at the bit, or whatever those terms are, to just get back to playing baseball?
Yeah, I'm definitely anxious. It's been so long since I've played a meaningful game, 2019, the end of that season. And since then, I was in spring training last year, got sent home like everybody else, and then reported for our alternate squad in case of COVID and injury last year. But I haven't played a meaningful game in over a year, so I'm very much looking forward to getting back out there.
You know, I know you tried to start playing golf. By the way, did that ever get any better for you? I saw you at Ridgewood that one day. Is that better for you? Did you even get a chance to do much of that?
I played so much golf during quarantine. I was probably playing 5 or 6 days a week. So I've got to the point where I'm decent now. I won't embarrass myself. I wouldn't say I'm good by any means, but I could go out there and compete a little bit.
Well, the opposite for me. I've played very little, and that is like one of my favorite hobbies. But I can imagine what it's like. I mean, you still have what you have, your hand-eye coordination, your experience, whatever. But man, I guess if there's ever been a need for training camp, is this not the year for it?
Absolutely. You know, it's been, like I said, it's been so long since so many of us have played in meaningful baseball games. So I don't think I'll be too rusty. I feel as prepared for a season as I've ever been, mentally, physically, and just really at this point being thankful to be out there. You know, you hear the old saying, you don't know what you have until it's gone, and that really applies to this, because sometimes going out there in baseball, you can take it for granted, playing every single day, every single month. It gets monotonous, we get exhausted, but at this point, I'm just thankful to be out there and happy that I'm able to get back on the field and play.
What do you reminisce or think about on the drive down to Jupiter, Florida, which is a pretty nice drive, obviously, from Texas to Louisiana to, you know, through Alabama, parts of that. You know, everyone knows that trip. What do you reflect on? Do you think baseball, or do you just think about life, family, whatever else?
My biggest thing right now is I'm trying to focus on the present, so focus on the day, not not think about anything in the future, not think about anything in the past. Just enjoy the moment, because this isn't going to last forever. And that's my headspace going into spring training this year, is just focus on the day and enjoy every second of it, because it's not going to last forever.
Was there frustration, not just with the shutdown, but the fact you were starting to make that move, climb the ladder in a Major League Baseball organization when everything was shut down?
Absolutely. It could not have happened at a worse time for me personally in my career. I know a lot of people are going through a lot worse things with COVID and everything else, but for my career, I mean, the timing couldn't have been worse. Knocking on the door of the big leagues, and trying to have a breakout season and get a chance to get called up, and then you don't have a minor league season, and now you're a year older. So it just delays everything, but it'll make for a great story one day, and I'm going to keep at it and keep playing until somebody won't give me a jersey anymore.
You mentioned thinking about the moment, the current, whatever's going on right now, not looking down the road, but do you dream about what that first ever opportunity to play in a meaningful Major League game will be when your name is called, you come to the batter's box, or you're out in the infield?
Yeah, since I was a little kid, that's been my ultimate dream. I've always wondered what that would feel like. But the biggest thing for me, the most rewarding moment would be getting to share that with my family, making that phone call back home to all my family and friends that have been such a big part in this journey and this ride that I've had since I was in Little League Baseball. And everybody has played such a role, and I couldn't be here without all of them. So I most look forward to that phone call and getting it to share it with all of them.
Yeah, I can't, I mean, how I'm much older than you, and I we all had that dream. That was it, until all of a sudden you see a real curveball and you pee right there in the batter's box and realize that dream's over. That's how it kind of ended for me. But so that's awesome. You've had to have kind of a chip on your shoulder. You're gifted. Your parents both athletically gifted. Both of them had to grind, though, to do what they did as well in various sports. But do you still have a chip on your shoulder? You still feel like you got to prove something?
Every single day I walk out there, I feel like I have to prove myself, whether I'm the last guy off the bench or I'm on the team. That has never changed for me, and it never will change. I will always find something to give me that edge, to give me that chip on my shoulder. And so I don't think that can ever change. It's just. Why is it baseball players and golfers don't have to be 6'3", 220? What is it? Is it you're able to, no matter what, you can generate power. You've got the wrist, the hands, the hips, whatever. What is it about baseball that makes it very similar to golf, where you don't have to be the biggest, strongest, fastest guy? Well, I tell you, it sure would be easier to be the bigger, faster, stronger guy, but it would be a lot easier, but you really don't. And I think it's just because baseball, there's so many different ways you can affect the game. You can affect it with your speed, your defense, getting on base, not having to hit a home run. Or someone like me, I try to do a little bit of everything. I always have. I don't like to play like I'm a small guy, even though I'm a little bit undersized. I go out there and I play like I'm a big guy, but I also have to know who I am and can't try to do too much. I think in baseball, there's just you don't have to be big, because you can affect the game in so many different ways. So many young men play Major League Baseball or drafted or have a chance to get to the minor leagues, and you still have work to do. But the majority don't make it through. It's a statistic. The odds are against you. What have you learned about Kramer Robertson during this journey? I've learned that I can handle failure, and I can get knocked down time and time again. And no matter how down I've been on myself, that I can get up and that I can go face the next day. I can go face the next pitcher. I can face the next challenge, no matter what it is. I've had to learn how to fail. I've had to learn from my failure, and it's made me into a better man. It's made me into a better baseball player, and I'm continuing to learn every day. Is there someone on the Cardinals roster that has kind of been the one that you could talk to more, or is it pretty much, even though there's guys ahead of you that know that you may be up and coming, how does that work? Has there been someone that you've been able to kind of pick his brain more than anyone else? I wouldn't say there's one in particular, but what is so great about the Cardinals organization and the Cardinals team, every experience I've had with all of those guys, whether it's a 10-year major leaguer in Matt Carpenter or guys who are up and down from AAA, they've been unbelievably open and willing to share their experiences and their tips and what helps them. So I wouldn't say there's one in particular. I would say really the whole roster, anybody you go up to has been extremely welcoming and has been very professional to me.
You had COVID back in the holidays, and so you're going to have to go through the protocol. You'll end up having COVID in your antibodies. Everyone knows that. But what was that experience like? You heard about it. I've been fortunate. Millions have not. What was that like, and what is it like? How long did it take before you felt like you were healthy again?
Well, I knew I was probably going to get it. My friend came in town and then left, and it tested positive the day he left. And it took a few days for me to feel anything. I had a little bit of a headache, a little bit of a body ache. When got tested positive. And then after that, the only symptom that I had was I lost taste and smell for 3 days. If I wouldn't have gotten tested, didn't know my friend had it, I probably never would have known that I had it. For me personally, it did not affect me bad at all. The rest of my family got it. My 80-year-old grandmother got it. She was great. She had minor symptoms, and my mom as well. But it affects everybody different. But for us personally, we were totally fine.
You're driving to Florida. It is nasty as hell, as you know, throughout most of the South. And Texas is basically just a big ice blanket, although we're getting close to starting to maybe be a day away from a lot of it melting, although some of it's even doing that now. But it's still something that's like hadn't happened in a long, long time. You know, you're driving to Florida, Kramer. It could go to a Major League Baseball training camp, and there's an ice blanket of snow. How good of timing was it for you to get the heck out of here?
Yeah, I would have liked to get out of here a few days earlier because I wanted to get a few days of batting practice and turning double plays and grounders before I'm out there with Nolan Arenado and Paul Goldschmidt. But I'm at it. I got out of there safely, and I'm on the road now. But yeah, the weather in Texas, I've never seen anything like that. That's once in a generation type storm. I hope that everybody's staying safe. I know we lost power for 3 or 4 straight days, so it was pretty brutal. I'm very ready to get to South Florida and the sunshine.
Hey, Kramer, good luck, man. Thanks for your time. Drive safely, and good luck. We'll be following you throughout the spring and hopefully have a full year of baseball. Thanks for your time, and we appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Kramer Robertson of the St. Louis Cardinals, David Smoak, and SicEm365 Radio.
All right. That it, Paul, in Armstrong?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. All right. Tomorrow, right after this is over, I'll be able to get an interview done with Brady Heslop, the former Baylor guard, see what he's doing. He's been all over the place, along with so many Baylor players. And also, one of our guests tomorrow will be Dejanay Carrington, among others. So for Armstrong Sims, for Paul Catalina, Paul, thank you very much, making it happen. Everyone stay warm, still stay safe. The ice in the streets are, much more manageable, but there's some more slip sliding away. So be careful wherever you are. And we'll be back at it again tomorrow. For all of our great sponsors, I just sent a text to Rob Maxey. I've been in touch with many of you and will continue to be. We appreciate you and your dedication, your loyalty to us, and your support, along with our listeners, audience, and everyone in between. SicEm365 Radio, be safe.